All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lost Caravan RPG. We do one-shots, mini-series, and long-running campaigns. If it's TTRPG, we pretty much do it all. This week is special because it's Caravan of Cthulhu week. All week long, we'll be running spooky-themed games in support of the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, a program dedicated to providing medical care to thousands of injured and ill children who would otherwise lack local access to care. You can find the donation page by scanning the QR code in the corner of the screen. I was trying to orient myself to what side of the screen it's on, but it's somewhere. Or by entering !donate in the chat. As with our other charity events, we'll be giving away a few prizes at the end of the week. Every donation of $10 or more will enter you for a chance to win one of our fun prizes, from custom character art to your own copies of different TTRPGs. My name is Lonnie, and tonight I will be your keeper for this game of Call of Cthulhu called The Migration. Before we dive into the game, why don't we go around and have the cast introduce themselves and let everyone tell me who you're going to be playing tonight. We're going to start in order of how it shows up on stream. So we're going to start with Sam.
Oh, perfect. I hate starting off. Hey guys, I'm Sam, Sammy Scribbles, and tonight I am going to play Darcy Arahill. She is a local sailor.
Next up, it looks like we have Psych.
Oh boy. Hey everyone. I'm Psych, real name Miles. I'll be playing Emmett Lockhart, the burnt out psychiatrist.
All right, after that is Tall Halfling or Steve.
I'm Steve. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. But tonight I'm Larry Berger. I'm the mayor of our little community.
And then last but not least, we have Holly.
Hey, I'm OMG Holly D, and I am playing Frances Frankie Willard. She is the little bed and breakfast owner one of the bed and breakfast or inn owners of this little island.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll just open right up to it. Well, and then again, I am Lonnie or Looney Shaws. I will be the keeper for the evening. It is my first time running Call of Cthulhu, so everyone be patient with me. But I hope that this is sufficiently spooky for all of you. We open up on a sleepy fishing village called Gull Isle. It has a population of about 300 and, well, not much happens here. When you're on the island, it seems like there's almost a lull to the day-to-day, kind of like waves lapping on the shore. The days are pretty much decided by the tides because the tides determine when the fishermen go out, and the fishermen decide when the fish markets can open or when inns would be busy with customers once the ships have come in for the night. Although most of you have kind of adjusted to this throughout your lives because most people on the island were born and raised here, or else had family with a history here at some point or another that ended up calling you back. We first meet our characters in this setting around high tide in the afternoon, so around 3:15 p.m. I'm gonna go around again in the same order, and I'm gonna have you guys kind of describe your characters, give a little bit about what they look like, and then also give an idea of what do you think they'd be doing around 3:15 p.m. Knowing that within the next 2 or 3 hours, fishermen will be coming back into port for the afternoon, and things will kind of be going back in full swing. So again, we're going to start with Sam.
Perfect. So as kinds of pans in on Darcy, you could see her tying off her boat, standing on the dock. Her shoulders are sort of like tense with like anger, and you see this sort of shock of red hair braided down her back. um she is not a beautiful woman by any stretch of the imagination. She looks like she has been weathered by the ocean, by the sea, by the tides. Gray starting to fleck her hair. And I think she would like to be out on the ocean right now, but there was some issues with her boat and she wasn't able to go out. So she's kind of like sent the other two crew members she has away and is just trying to see like how she can make this day a little bit better.
Okay. Well, so you're on the dock and you're kind of you're trying to kind of catch a breath and see what's, what needs to be fixed, how to kind of revive the day if possible, or if you kind of just want to restart again tomorrow. And after a little while, one of your fellow crew members will actually come back, and they'll be carrying with them a flyer. Um, the flyer is brandishing these large words talking about a migration. I'll read it off to you, but it basically they approach you and kind of show you this flyer, kind of looking at you quizzically, and you look at the flyer. It says, Gull Isle invites you to be witness for the migration. Whether coming from near or far, you'll want to be remembered for being on the right side of history for this period event. Experts are welcome and encouraged to come and be devoured by their studies for the days leading up to the migration. Accommodations have been made at the Craggy Point docks for incoming ships, and the Crab Trap Inn would be happy to host you. Um, Once you stop reading, you kind of look up at the sailor or the crew member who had brought you the flyer, and they just look at you and say, why would Craggy Point be the dock of choice? That's probably the most dangerous dock to have like any mainlanders come in by.
Maybe they don't actually want them to come in. Or, try to scare them, give them some jolt of excitement.
If that's what it is, then we're going to have an influx of accidents because there is flyers all over town. And right now you're standing on just the main pier.
Mhm.
This is something that you'd know just as somebody who, comes into dock more often. Craggy Point is off kind of a little bit further on a different part of the island that isn't really traversed as often. It's where the Craggy Point Lighthouse is, and it has its name for a reason. Craggy Point is not really an ideal place to try to dock up because there's a lot of rocks that, especially during different tides, could be dangerous to boats. And yeah, you kind of it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's just something weird that your crew member had noticed.
Okay. Um, on the paper, does it say like who the heck is planning this or anything like that?
Um, you don't see anything right away. There's a little picture of looks like a little hand-drawn picture of a sailboat. But it doesn't look like there's anyone brandishing, like we're hosting. All it says is that the Crab Trap Inn is willing to host if people come to visit, and then the Craggy Point docks, and that's about all you can get from planning wise.
Okay. Um, I think Darcy's sort of gonna crumble the paper up in her hand and stuff it in her pocket. It's like we need to find out who's gonna be sailing that boat because it can't just be some person that doesn't know the island. They're gonna just start walking towards probably the inn to see if they can figure out like who's bringing the people in.
Sure. Okay. We're gonna go over to the next person for the time being. So we're gonna go over to Emmett. Emmett, what do you think you would be doing around 3:15, knowing that pretty soon there are going to be fishermen kind of starting to dock back up again, come back onto land?
I feel like this day, like many of the days so far for Emmett, he's been something of a layabout. mostly been wandering the fish market. His cat, Felix, a black tuxedo cat, kind of strolling along his side, maybe chasing after like an errant mouse or some discarded fish carcass. And he's just kind of enmeshed in his own thoughts right now. Hands in his pockets, head down, just kind of thinking about what he wants to do if he plans on staying here any longer. Things like that.
Sure. Well, so while you're in the fish market, first of all, it will be a little bit quieter because
Mm.
the fishermen haven't really come back yet. So it'll probably be some stuff that they were able to freeze and have for the next day. Probably, some shopkeepers instead of actually the fishermen who went out to fetch the fish to begin with. So it's not the people that are the experts. But um, when you're walking around, you will um, when you're kind of stuck in your head a little bit, will kind of get a tap on your shoulder.
Mm.
Um, and if you turn around, it'll be like somebody that you kind of vaguely remember from childhood.
All right. He seems a little jolted, I imagine. Not used to really being approached, maybe kind of on edge. So that sort of does up his tie a little bit. Oh, hello.
Sorry to
Can I
bother
help
you.
you?
Sorry
Yeah.
to bother you, friend. Didn't mean to startle you. Uh, kind of lowers his voice a little bit and says, "Do you hate to bother you in a time like this, but you think I can trouble you for a little talking time?"
Uh, yes, yes, sure, of course. He's looking around. It seems like he's just trying to find a good place to sit down, even if it's something as simple as like a wooden barrel or so. Would you like to do this somewhere more private, maybe on the beach, or?
He'll kind of look around and like I said, the fishing market is a little quiet right now.
Mm.
He's like, oh, I don't have any reservations about and he'll kind of like start to pull up a stool to one of the barrels and kind of just sit down. He's kind of already leaning in. He's like, just had a weird dream is all.
Oh, a weird dream. Well, I understand that there's some people who would dismiss it out of hand, but why don't you tell me about it?
Well, see, the thing is, the dream was just I've had weird dreams before, but this one seemed a little too real, I guess you could say. Um, well, it it seemed that I was surrounded by a flock of seagulls. And,
Mm.
that's not too out of the normal around here. They always want a little scrap of fish here and there, but the weirdest part of the whole thing was looking around at these seagulls, there wasn't a look of they wanted whatever was in my hands. I don't even know if there was anything in my hands in the dream. But when I took a closer look, their eyes were human like
Human-like.
like a human emotion, like pleading or like they wanted to talk to me, but they're seagulls.
He's just sort of nodding his head. If he had a notebook, he'd probably be writing notes down about now. But for lack of that, he's just sort of considering a lot of, I see, I see. Have these dreams been recurring recently? Or was this.
Last two
Yes?
or 3 days, I'd say.
Mm,
Now that I think of it.
oh dear. He
Seems like there's
consider.
more of them each time, though. Is that a difference? Is that important?
It seems to me like you might be suffering from an excess of stress. Has everything been all right at home? Work? No.
It's been pretty run of the mill. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, I guess maybe it's maybe it's about this migration. Do you think the birds are what's migrating?
Migration. I'm sorry. I haven't. I suppose I'm not in the loop. What are you talking about?
He'll um he'll pull the same flyer that Darcy had seen out um from one of his kind of like he's wearing like
Trouser
a pair of
pocket.
overalls that
Mm.
has, um and he kind of pulls it out. It's really crumpled up. And he kind of like puts it on the table and he tries to lay it flat as he can. And he's like, just just seems weird, It what's migrating? Is it the seagulls?
Now
Is my dream telling me that?
at this, Emmett really seems to perk up. He's just briefly scanning the paper, and his mind is instantly going towards perhaps cases of mass hysteria or mass delusions. Recently, he studied the supposed miracle of Fatima, and he's sort of been on this kick of trying to understand what can make groups of people go mad, essentially. And so he very carefully takes the paper and looks at the man. Would you mind if I hold on to this?
I don't see why not. I could grab 5 more on the way back to my house.
All right, all right. So you've kind of caught me short-handed, but what I recommend is just taking a break. Find something that relaxes you, even if it's as simple as reading or knowing the general quality of this town, drinking, I suppose. But focus on removing any stressors from your life. Anything that would cause anxiety and sit in a moment of peace of mind, I suppose. Find your happy place.
Well, I guess I could go down to the sunken line since it seems like a lot of folks are apparently going to be coming into Crab Trap. Uh, I, if the psychiatrist tells me I gotta go drink my problems away, I guess I'll go drink my problems away. He kind of stands up, kind of like slaps his hand on the barrel that he was using as a table, and kind of like looks at you like he's gonna shake your hand and isn't sure of like the.
It, it's fine, really. He's just looking at the hand and maybe noticing some fish guts or just not up to his standards of cleanliness. Just yeah. Why don't you get started on that drink, huh? I can
He'll
even
kind
write
of
you a
like,
prescription for it.
all right. He kind of like
Yeah.
goes to wipe his hand, like just like down his overalls, just
Oh,
to like
oh,
noticing if there was anything on his hands.
just
Um,
like a snail trail of grease, I'm picturing.
yep. Um,
Oh,
luckily his overalls are probably like meant to be in the water. Mine are, just like denim, but he probably has like
right.
waders or something, I'm assuming. So maybe just starts leaking down. But he kind of gives another like curt nod, uh doctor's
Yeah.
orders, and
Doctor's
then
orders.
just kind of
Get to it.
turns on his heel and starts walking towards the sunken line, which you know to be like mainly a bar. It's not like an
Mm.
inn with bar and restaurant. It's just specifically bar. Um, and anything else you do as you kind
Uh,
of watch him walk off?
well, I think he's going to be investigating this supposed migration a little bit more. You're saying it was at the Crab Catch Inn,
Crab
or
Trap Inn. Yep.
Crab Trap Inn. So I think he'll start asking around to see if anyone knows where this is, or if it's a small island. Just do a quick walkabout.
You'd probably be able to find it pretty easily.
Okay. Okay.
Um, especially if you were born here, it's been in the community for generations. Basically, the guy that owns it
Okay.
now, his dad owned it, and his dad owned it, and his dad owned it, like that, one of those kind of places.
All right.
It should be pretty easy to. to get a hold of. All right, well then while you make your way towards that, we are going to move on to our mayor. What do you think you'd be doing at 3:15 p.m., Larry?
Okay, so Larry Berger is in his early 50s. Not that long ago, he was like a lot of people in the war, but it has been a few years. So, you can see where he used to have, the military grade fitness and the the short cropped haircut. The hair and the gut have kind of grown back in a bit since then. Um, and I think if these flyers are showing up all over town, I think we probably see him walking over to assuming there is one, the local newspaper office, something like that, um, on the theory that wherever these came from, they're obviously printed, and there can't be that many printing presses on this island. So the paper seems like a good place to start.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's I wouldn't really say that there's a newspaper office specifically. I would say that it's more so like a tiny little operation in the back of another building. So your town does have a museum of sorts. I kind of venture to call it more of a historical gallery, just because it kind of seems like it's a place where some locals have kind of just started collecting different historical items from the town. It basically has a bunch of pictures and old newspaper articles and artifacts from different shipwrecks and all that sort of stuff. And the guy who runs that kind of just like has that in his back office. He, has a like one or two guys that kind of help write stuff for him. So you're kind of going into the office in the back of this museum. But absolutely. So you'll be going to going straight through the doors of the historical gallery that is owned by Albert Farthing. And you're going to knock on the door to the Daily Catch because they're so clever.
I love that title.
So you're going in, you're knocking on the door and just trying to get their attention.
Yeah. The mayor does not have a limp. He does not have a limp. It's just a little stiff. It's just a little stiff. It is not a limp. That would be a sign of weakness. And so he's going and he's being as friendly, charming as he knows how. Nobody's in trouble. He's just curious, just curious. Also trying to find out, who's making the invitation so we can make sure they get the right permits and licenses and all.
Sure. You a kid named Nelson opens the door. And kind of looks up at you. He's about like probably in his late teens, maybe early 20s. Kind of one of those guys that just didn't really take an interest to fishing, even though he grew up in a fishing village. So he kind of got taken up under the wing of Albert Farthing. So he knows a lot about the business. So when you open the door, he kind of looks taken aback at first. He's a little, wow, the mayor's here. But he listens to you kind of, not pointing any fingers or anything, just curious. And he's like, he looks at he'll take the flyer from you. He'll kind of look at it. Ooh. Well, yeah, we printed these. Mr. Farthen said that it was a special order, though. I don't really know anything about it. I just got a big order. It's something exciting when you see it around in a small town like this. So We were working really hard to get these out as quickly as possible. See, they're catching some attention, yeah?
Seems that way. I just want to make sure want to make sure everything goes well. Seems like
Well,
we're due for some new eyes to come and admire our fair town.
it seems like it. Well, I know, Tim over down at the Crab Trap, uh, seems, I wouldn't say excited, because that's not really a word that he's capable of being, but eh, he's ready. Um, I don't think it was him that stopped by to get these printed, though. I'm sorry.
That's all right. You said he's ready. What, you wouldn't happen to know whether he was surprised? I mean, I certainly hadn't heard anything about these flyers before they went up. So did somebody, make sure that he's happy to take in more guests, or is he just handling it well?
Again, happy is another emotion I don't know out of Tim, but didn't didn't seem surprised.
Hmm.
But again, can't really read the guy. Sorry, I suppose I'm not being much help to you.
Oh no,
Um,
that's fine. That's fine. I am so proud you turned things around. I remember when you were struggling in high school.
yeah, and now I'm out here being questioned, not being accused, but being questioned by the mayor. And that means something. I did something big.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Well, if Albert stops by, let him know I was looking for him. Just wanted to catch up about all this.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Um, and he'll kind of like he'll kind of go to close the door, and it's not anything of note, but it's just one of those things where he's been working on a printing press a lot recently, so his hands just kind of have that ink all over. Um, he'd probably shake your hand if everyone seems to have dirty hands in this town. I did not plan that. That is not a theme. Don't read too much into that. um,
Give him a nice ex-military salute.
he'll kind of like
I shake a lot of
stop
hands, but
closing
not
the
usually
door to
quite that
kind of
firmly.
like ridge it up and sorry, what were you saying?
I'm just I shake a lot of hands, but not usually when they're quite that grimy.
I'll clean him up next time, sir.
All right, gonna head on out.
All right.
Probably pause to take one look at something that I donated uh, to the historical gallery when I got back from the war.
What
Flag,
do
a
you
pin, something like that.
Okay. Um, let's see. Do you want to see like kind of how it's displayed?
I think I'm here on a, not all the time, but I've been here before. I know, you know I know the place. It's just, one of these things in the cases means something personally to me, and just take a moment, acknowledge, and move on.
Yeah,
Or at least that's
if
the
you
plan.
just want to
You
take
tell me
a,
if it goes. You tell me if it
um,
goes weirdly.
let's see. Um, why don't you go ahead and roll me the first roll of the game?
Ooh.
I want to see um let's just do a spot hidden. You're not really looking for anything hidden, but you're kind of like looking around the area of the, let's say it's like a pin that you donated. And
Oh,
you'll probably,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah, that's actually a fumble. Yeah.
okay. Um, well, so the pin that you donated is very, very nicely presented. You kind of get distracted, kind of like you see a little fleck of dust kind of like near the it's in one of those little like kind of encased in like that little velvet kind of
Mhm.
kind of style casing. So you notice a little bit of lint that you kind of like want to just instinctively take off just to kind of keep it that military clean. Um and I'm sorry, with a fumble, that's
Yeah,
that's about all you get for now.
quite all right. For those listening, that was a 98 over 30.
Unless you want to spend 68 luck right off the bat.
No, I think I'm good.
Sure. Oh, actually, and I do want to make sure that I remind everybody that we do have hero points. Hero points will be able to be used to re-roll. I believe LC said we have like 23. But that is also basically being rolled over from game to game. So it's not like we have to spend 23 by the end of the game. You don't have to be like, this roll isn't really important, but I guess I should. But it is an option because we've had so many incredible people donate so far. So do you wanna do you wanna try to re-roll it at
Um,
all?
yeah,
Just use them all
might
and
as well. I,
spend
I
them.
wasn't I
Use
wasn't going
it, yeah.
wasn't going to push a skill that I have a 30 in, but happy to use a point to try
Absolutely.
it again.
Yeah.
And it's at least not a fumble. It's just an 88 over 30.
Uh, well,
That
you know,
piece of lint just
you're that one piece of lint is gone. But now you do get your eyes drawn to an anchor that was salvaged from a wreck from a ship. Um, it was probably about 30, 40 years ago that the ship wrecked. You probably remember a little bit of information about it. Um, it was it was kind of a just a smaller boat, no one really like that you knew or anything like that. Um, but you know, you kind of just have that moment of remembering um the wreck and or remembering the story of the wreck. Um, and that's the extra little tidbit you get when you are walking out the door.
cool.
All right. Holly, what do you think Frankie would be doing at 3:15 p.m. around
Oh,
high tide?
Frankie would know that everybody is coming in, and she would be um, probably, I would say, getting prepping dinner, um, putting out like a quick and easy snack, like putting some like an app like some apples or some like pastries by the door because knowing that the fishermen are going to be coming in, she would have something readily available knowing that they're coming back from a long day. And so she would be probably just like milling about um and setting that stuff out. She would probably be in the kitchen kind of putting together something for dinner, um spending time with her cats, making sure everything was put together.
Okay. Um, while you're cooking, you do end up kind of hearing a little rap on the front door of the B&B. Um, and then you hear someone kind of like tentatively turn the handle and just say, "Frankie, you in?"
Doors open.
Um, you'll hear the door be pushed open the rest of the way. And you'll hear footsteps coming down the hallway towards you in the kitchen. And when they kind of turn the corner, you'll recognize them as one of the sailors from one of the boats that you usually have as one of your frequent flyers at the B&B.
Fine.
And he looks at you a little concerned. Um, just don't reckon you've seen George Poole around. Uh, usually, about like 5'10", usually stays in the bunk 2 doors down from me.
um have I seen George?
Um, no, you have not.
Okay. No, dearie, I haven't seen him. To be honest, I don't know if I've seen him in a while.
That's what I was worried about. Oh,
And she's
did,
trying to recount the last time that.
Oh,
is is Holly frozen for anyone
She.
else?
That's okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Um, Holly, it
Oh
seems
dear.
like you're kind of cutting out a little bit. Um, okay. Well, we get that figured out really fast. We've been having a lot of tech issues tonight, everybody. Cthulhu is trying to attack the characters and not the players and not the characters, and that is not what I arranged for. So I guess in the time being, um, while we wait for Holly to come back, it seems like a lot of you were kind of making moves to head towards the crab trap. Um, so we can kind of start making motions for that. I don't want to get too far ahead without Holly. Um, but everyone can kind of start making their moves right next door to Mare, you're probably the closest because the museum is kind of like right next door. Oh, we just lost Holly. Okay. You're probably closest to the crab trap because the historical gallery is kind of right next door. So if you kind of, you'd probably be able to get there pretty quickly.
Mhm.
The rest of you, it seems like Emmett kind of might be trying to rack their brain to see if he remembers where to find it. Is that right?
Most likely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a long while since he's back in town, so he's still adjusting to everything.
Sure. Okay. Do you want to like be asking around town, or are you kind of just hoping you'll amble across it?
Uh, I think he's retracing his footsteps. I I don't picture him really trying to ask anyone, if in no small part because he's a Arkham educated, well dressed man, uh, and he just doesn't want to risk any dirty, fishy, grimy bits getting on him. So he's probably just sort of trundling along, like, oh, okay, okay, no, wait, no, that's not it.
Do you want to try to make a roll of sorts, like maybe
Yeah.
navigate just to see how long it'll take you?
Oh,
Obviously, you'll find it regardless, but
my
just to see how
navigate
long it
is
kind
too
of.
good. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I'll just roll it right now.
Okay. See,
Oh.
you actually you walk down a street that you think that you've already walked down to check to see if the Crab Trap Inn was there, and you think you've accidentally like made a circle.
Mm,
But you see like a very clear sign that it literally is like a crab trap, like those old wooden like arched crab traps. Um and it's just kind of like hand painted on there saying Crab Trap Inn. You might have missed it the first time around, or might have just kind of doubted
mhm.
yourself a little bit with remember, like, you might have just like been keeping your head down during a certain point if you saw somebody that
Yeah,
like you
mumbling to
didn't want to talk to
himself.
or something, but you are able to find it fairly easily.
All right. And one minor question.
Sure.
I know a lot of small towns, especially like small town restaurants, usually have like one or two like weird menu items, like a burger with like extra grease or something like that. So I'm thinking as the memories come back, whatever the weird menu item, like peanut butter and crab sandwich or something, uh,
Yeah,
I'm
you know
picturing,
what? I think I'd
yeah,
remember a peanut butter and crab sandwich from my
yeah,
childhood.
yeah. I'm picturing he tried it once as a bet, and the trauma stays with him to this day.
And you know the funniest thing is that people actually the people who order it as like a dare or as a let me just try it out, that's actually the reason it stayed on the menu all these years. Gotten enough foot traffic.
If it works, it works.
So you can definitely still order that if that's what you're looking for.
Not on
Um,
your life.
Holly, are you everything back?
I'm
Everything's
good.
working?
Yeah. I don't know what
Perfect.
happened. I'm the only one that it happened to in the whole house as well. So
Oh, no, of course.
fine. Fine.
Love how that happens. Well, you didn't miss too much. We were talking about a crab and peanut butter sandwich.
I
But
did catch that. Ugh.
okay. Really fast, I do want to just make sure I go back to your little interaction with the fisherman, and then we can get back to all of a full round on the house for the peanut butter and crab sandwiches, if everyone would like. Um, but so you left off with trying to rack your brain to try to see if you remember the last time you had encountered George Poole. Do you want to make me you know, this kind of seems like a good just like a let's just say a oh my gosh, I can't even remember what the word for it is. One
You're good.
second. I
Fine.
roll one of your like either charisma or charm or I keep wanting to say hume int, but that's not this game. Um so yeah, let's just roll charm for now before I remember the actual name of what I'm thinking of. Just to kind of see
I'm
if you
totally fine.
remember like your
Really?
customers.
Really?
Okay. Well, so either
I'm gonna
way,
use can I use a hero point? I don't care that it's early on. We have so many.
sure. Absolutely.
Oh my god, I give up.
Oh, I
Okay,
mean,
look, it can
Only
stay.
winner
It can
here.
spend
stay.
6
Yeah,
if you'd like.
right? It can stay. No, it's fine.
Okay. Um, so either way, you're racking your brain, you're trying to figure out the last time you've seen George Poole. You can't seem to remember an exact date, um, but you do feel like it's been a few nights. Um, and you're kind of a little bit surprised that maybe you hadn't really noticed, but sometimes the sailors do kind of come in late after they've been at the bar or something like that. So you don't always see their comings and goings. Um, but yeah, you don't remember the last time you've seen him, but you do know it's been a little while.
I share that. I can't recall the last time I saw them, but it's been a while.
That's what I was worried about. Seems like his fishing crew's been missing him for the last 2 days or so. I we're trying to we're trying to all rack our brains to see if we can remember where he went to. Um, but if you haven't seen him, then it's definitely
That
not.
is
He's just ignoring
concerning.
us.
Yes, that's concerning. Um, I will stay vigilant, she says.
Thank you. Uh, he'll kind of make gesture to the food you're making. Smells good, by the way.
Well, take something by the door before you leave.
Mind if I take a few for? We're gonna kind of try to go out looking for him for a little bit. Mind if I take a few for the go?
Oh, yeah, take as many as you would like, of course. It's the least I can do.
Thank you. Um, we'll still be back. Hopefully not too late, but got to shore a little bit faster so we could go looking.
Of course.
And he'll kind of grab a few kind of just like haphazardly have him in his arms. He doesn't seem to care if he's a little dirty from the day. um and kind of gives you like when he has stuff in his hands, kind of gives you that little like wave like from underneath, and gives you a nod as he walks out, looking pretty concerned. But yeah, so you you're back alone in the kitchen.
Hmm. I would say, frankly, she would just really focus on getting food out, knowing that, um, you know, most people usually are coming back around this time. But I assume that not many people have trickled in at this point. Um,
You do know that you know, you obviously have plenty of loyal customers that come to you. Um, but you do also know that, you know, there's other restaurants in town, there's other bars in town. So it's one of those things where, like, you know, maybe they're gonna check around at the Crab Trap or the Sunken Line, kind of just looking for their friend. So they might be out for a little while, but um, up to you if you want to kind of try to help, or if you obviously you need to make sure you also want to prepare for your guests.
yeah, no, I will, I will help if I can. Um, w- it It's she just made something easy. She, you know, it's nothing fancy, but it's enough to feed you. So she's like, anything that, she can do, she'll try and help, but if it ends up interfering, she'll keep keep going and just motion them to, things that are coming in, or hold the door, whatever it is like anybody needs.
Okay. Um, well, so it seems like a lot of the party is heading towards the Crab Trap. Um, so I think we'll go back over. We'll go to Darcy really fast. Um, Darcy, do you think that you would know the Rookery at all? Or do you think you'd walk right past and go towards the Crab Trap?
The Rookery.
Mhm,
That's the one that Frankie owns?
mhm.
Um, they would go in only to ask for directions for the crab trap because it's probably further inland than Darcy's used to going.
Um, you just kind of knock on the door.
Um, no, because they think it's an inn, they're just gonna open the door.
Okay.
Oh,
Just
hello.
oh, I forgot I don't like this place.
I know.
I'm this is the first inn coming up from the docks. Do you remember where the she like starts do you remember where the crab trap inn is?
Um, yes, I do. And she smugly gives the directions. She's like, "You take it right up here," and she's like, would you like a snack on your way up? You look tired."
You like it's like looking around. Are there like cats visible?
There's only 3. So
Too
one
many.
one yeah, one is outside, and that is my, I have a feral cat and have 2 inside cats, and their names are, it's the Hook and Line are the ones that are inside, and Sinker is the outside one.
I love it.
Gotta love the pun.
Hmm. That was amazing. Um, no, but you can see like their eyes are looking like they're like getting red and like swelling slightly. It's just like, can you just show me the way?
Oh, of
Get
course.
on fresh air.
Yeah, let me go pull the casserole out. And as she says this, it like dings in the background. She's like, "I just need you. You can step outside if this is too much for you."
Mhm, mhm.
and she like hands you like one of the apples and a pastry. You did not say that you wanted it, but she gave it to you anyways. Like she's like, here, you just stand out there, just a quick second, and she's like scurries to the back, pulls everything out. Um, the table's already set. There's not that many place settings, but she sets it in the middle with like, you know, the like the towel over it and stuff. She does that grandma stuff.
So adorable. Oh my god.
And so she's like, she meets you outside. Sorry that took it just a little more than a few seconds, but thank you. And she's like, um, follow me. And as she does this, you guys like step down the stairs or whatever, and you hear like a cat kind of meow, and she like, now you're in charge when I'm away, Sinker. And she's like, she's like, so she's like, and she gives a little rub, and then she looks over at you and remembers that you were sneezing, and she like wipes it on like the bush, like as she's leaving. She's like, not that that's helping at all, but she automatically feels bad.
Yeah, Darcy's just like rubbing like her nose on her sleeve, and you could definitely like see the streak of like dark snot that is coming out of her nose.
So
Um,
funny.
yeah, there's some sort of migration coming. Migration. Have you heard about whatever this is?
I'm not sure I recall.
You might have heard one of the fishermen talking about it pretty vaguely. You might not have really thought anything of it. Um, Migrations don't really seem like it's anything that's like, oh, it's like, yeah, the fish are migrating for the season, you know. Maybe not
Oh,
have thought about it, but
and she kind of she's like, actually, I think I recall, like, and she's goes through it and she tells you that, and she's like, is that where you're heading tonight?
No, I'm trying to figure out who's heading the migration because they're docking at Craggy Point,
Oh, that is a bit odd.
but it doesn't seem like it's very well planned out.
Hmm.
So I figured they're posting it or something. Maybe, oh, maybe they would know something.
And she's like, she goes to reach for like a handkerchief, and she's like, that's also a terrible idea. Like, she's like, no, she just feels awful. And well, I mean, that is a bit odd. I guess I shall go with you. Now, I just had a lad come in, and he had said that I can't remember George's last name. Sorry.
cool.
Poole, like
Mhm.
Pool. Okay.
Yep.
Um, George Poole has been messing with his crew for 2 days.
Would Darcy know anything about that?
Um, that's a great question. I think do you uh, honestly, I'm sorry. I'm blanking on the roles that would be helpful for like the things that are happening in the game right now.
Okay.
Um, if you want to roll maybe either a history or maybe like one of your charm skills, like a fast talk or charm, just to see if you've heard anything, like if your crewmates would tell you anything about that, or if you were approached by anyone about that.
Yeah. Um, or could I do a listen roll? Like they heard something? She heard something?
That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get out of edit mode.
Okay.
I hear things.
Um, that is an extreme success. So, yeah, actually, as soon as that name is mentioned to you, you remember hearing about you remember hearing similarly enough about how Craggy Point seems to kind of be a common theme recently because apparently you heard talk of somebody either spreading rumors or maybe there's some truth to it. You don't really know. You haven't known anyone to follow up, but you heard someone along the lines saying that you saw them they saw them kind of ambling up towards the path leading out to Craggy Rock Lighthouse. Late at night though, like kind of uncharacteristically late at night, but um, y- you know, everyone talks on a ship and you're never sure what's 100% true or not, but you do know that someone mentioned something about him kind of walking a little haphazardly. They thought maybe he was drunk, so they kind of just let him be, figured they could let him sleep it off, um, and thought that he was going in that direction.
Um, Darcy would definitely like share that, but she fully believes that like he was drunk. It's like, oh, he was getting in too deep one night. Someone saw him a couple nights ago going up to the lighthouse. That's Craggy Point, anyways.
And Frankie, she's like, "Oh yeah, that was the night that we did have a get together at the inn. Have you been to one of the get-togethers at the inn?"
You're in, Frankie?
Oh, yeah, that's fair, but I guess I thought maybe you'd came at night. Well, you should come. It's a roaring good time.
Maybe if you got rid of the cats.
Oh, not sure I could do that, but they're
Okay.
good company. I'm by myself. I think I want to say Sinker, he's definitely on his way out. He has to be. This cat is not anywhere near dying whatsoever. It is literally
Yeah,
like the
I'm pretty sure
She's
I've heard you
starting to
say that
die.
multiple
yeah.
times, Frankie.
Oh, it's just well, a good cat is hard to find, and he's a great mouser. I have no issues.
Well, so
As you're talking about your cats and making your way, I will say, Darcy, you are probably starting to feel a little bit better with every step. You're getting
yes.
kind of fresh air. You're getting that really good sea breeze back in you.
Why is just on
And
the ocean? There's no cats, no dander out
No
there.
cats, yeah.
and as you two are talking, Frankie is leading you flawlessly toward the Crab Trap Inn, where I believe everyone else has already um, kind of ambled in at their own pace. So when you get there, kind of like I described before, it has the look of it basically is decorated with a sign that looks like a wooden crab trap written on the crab trap. When you get inside, it is a typical inn, kind of like think of the prancing pony from Lord of the Rings. Downstairs, it has kind of a tavern with ales. Keep in mind, everyone who's watching, this is still Prohibition era, but because the Gull Isle is so isolated, there is still alcohol. There's not really anybody monitoring anything. There's not really anyone, you know, trying to get drinking to stop, making sure they have to be people have to go out into the dark corners of people's basements to go drinking. So it's pretty regular here. It's stuff that could last in a bottle for a long time. Probably some bourbons or freshly made moonshine. Um, and the decorations are kind of exactly what you'd expect in a fishing town. It's think dive bar, but with every single kind of fishing memorabilia you can think of just dangling here, propped up there. Um, and you walk into a pretty lively, lively for this time of day anyway, um, inn where, you see a few sailors that might have probably come in a little bit early. Maybe they hadn't really had any success that day. Um, kind of just drinking their problems away. And do you think that all of you would eventually kind of meet up with each other? Would you recognize each other, or do you think you'd kind of all want to keep to yourselves?
Well, I think Emmett would recognize the mayor. I think they might have had some discussions in the past, but he probably wouldn't notice him immediately. I feel like he's kind of unsure on his feet. He's just sort of looking around at first, and that's when he catches, maybe on a kitchen counter or in a little dusty mason jar, a mirepoix of crab meat and very, very oily looking peanut butter. And the memories just start coming back to him. He's like, mm, mm, nope, uh, not gonna keep looking at that.
Did you, to
He,
be clear, did you order this or did someone else nearby order it and you're just seeing it?
I think he's just seeing it, and as he's seeing that, he might accidentally just stumble into the mayor's back without even realizing it.
Trying to get away from a classic.
Mm-hmm. Goal
I'm willing to say
Island
that
specialty.
by nature, the mayor wants to celebrate everything unique about this town. So I'm perfectly happy to say that I ordered the sandwich, and
Oh, my man, my man.
So what I'm understanding is Emmett bumps into you trying to get away from the sandwich and you end up turning around with the sandwich in your hands. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
we might have just
Still here having trouble.
okay.
Mm.
Um yeah, so you uh sadly Emmett, seems like you can't escape that sandwich.
Oh no.
But the mayor is in front of you now.
He looks at the mirror, then at the sandwich, back at the mirror. How, hi, Mr. Mayor! It just his eyes keep darting back to that sandwich. How have you been? It's fancy meeting you
I
here.
made. Oh, it's so good to see you. And you notice he takes one piece of bread off of the sandwich and shakes on more hot sauce than you would think would make any sense, and puts it back together again.
I- y- You know, they really don't make these anywhere else. It's a Goal Island specialty, isn't it? But
Exactly.
yeah,
So
you know, he mumbles something like that. I got used to eating normal food in Arkham. They had normal food. Just,
I almost want to make Emmett roll a sanity roll just
yes.
because of the amount of uncomfortable he is right
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. No, he just he has a stable level of discomfort just constantly running through him. Like he looks just physically tired and anxious all the time. But this is
That's the
definitely
secret.
bringing
I'm
some memories
always
back.
insane.
Oh boy.
Um, I'm sorry.
No
Um,
worries.
so, geez, this is not really helping, huh? You're just surrounded by all of it again.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
they make these sandwiches so big. I'm never gonna eat the whole thing. What would you like some?
You know, I just ate. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. Maybe next time. And he just mentally makes a note never to stop in this place ever again. Uh, say, I was wondering. I'm hearing a lot of talk about some migration around town. I'm not sure if you're in the know about it. Is this some tourist trap we're doing?
Well, it should. He looks around to make sure that nobody's really listening in on them. I should have been consulted, but whoever's putting this together made an end run around me. But
Hmm.
it's all right. It's all right. More visitors is a good thing. Give this town a little shot in the arm in the local economy there.
I I was wondering about that too. Forgive me for not being in the know, but have you seen any of these new visitors around town recently?
Have we?
Um, so I was gonna make you roll for it, but I think You haven't really been paying a lot of attention because you just recently found the flyers.
Mhm.
Um, but I think right now, if you were to look around the Crab Trap Inn, which is kind of where the supposed hub of this whole thing should be, you don't see any unfamiliar faces.
Hmm. Interesting. Do we know
But
who's?
as far as I can tell, the flyers only just went up. So if people are going to respond, take them a little bit of time, especially if the flyers are here on the island, encouraging people to come to the island. So this is why you go through town hall and you do it right. We put the flyers on the mainland.
Oh, yes, yes. Of course, you need the to go through the proper channels. Of course, of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
I, I am wondering. It seems like the flyers are mentioning the Crab Trap Inn. Could this be some kind of business scheme or? Hmm.
Well, I was hoping to ask Tim, but I can't come in here without enjoying one of these, and he's finishing
Oh,
off the sandwich.
I, you, you know, it's good to see that we're keeping our culinary traditions alive.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm, um, I, I was just bringing that up because I mean, you wouldn't want them to be committing some kind of tax fraud, would you? Bring a few new people in here, sell them some of our delicious peanut butter and crab sandwiches, and not pay their proper share to the town?
Well, he kind of hems and haws a little bit. There's already a agreement, I guess you could say, that the mayor will look the other way and not pay attention to any beverages they may be selling it up at the bar.
Hmm.
Uh, so that seems like shirking local taxes might not get the mayor in as much trouble as not enforcing federal law.
Who's gonna notice?
Hmm.
People from the mainland don't usually visit.
Oh, oh, Frankie, it's good to see you. Things going well at the B&B?
As good as possible. How are you today, Mayor?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Emmett's back in town. I was just
She
catching up a
just
little bit.
she just nods to
You
Emmett.
remember him?
Yes. How is the mainland,
Oh,
Emmett?
it's wonderful. It's had a terrific time, but I'm glad to be back home. If they're paying close attention, they may notice that was a very obvious lie. He is just brushing his entire mainland experience under the rug. Uh, it's quickly like trying to change the subject, but wow, it's amazing. The more things change, the more they stay the same, huh?
Yes. So that's actually Frankie's thing. She's a listener. She's like the local grandma. She just like is like, oh, she's very much the nothing good to meal can't fix type of person. And so she's like, well, Emmett, don't be a stranger. Come on by. We'd
Of
love we'd
course.
I'd love to see you. You come see the new things I've done to the rookery. There's nothing new.
I always remember you made some really great non-crab and
Yes.
peanut butter based food.
You,
So,
you, you know, I only make that upon request. So,
of course, and I love you for it.
of course, yes, we'd love to see you. Oh, what is this about the migration? Anybody hear anything?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, actually.
And as she says that, she's like, and um, Darcy.
He
She, she's like,
they Yeah, he's going through. You can see on his face, he's like vaguely remembers her way back from his time on the island, and he's just, oh yes, Darcy. I how's your you have uh pet dog, right? How Winston? Yeah, no.
Sure.
He
Yeah.
is just totally bombing all his social interactions here, but he,
Can um correct me if this isn't okay, but Darcy's a few years older than Emmett is. And with how small like this town is, I feel like Darcy might have babysat Emmett like a couple of times. Like nothing on the regular,
okay. Okay,
but
I'm 100% for it.
I'm pretty sure that when you were leaving here, you couldn't get away fast enough.
Oh, no, no,
Emmy,
no.
like,
Oh, Emmy, haven't been called that in a while. Last few years it's been Dr. Lockhart. He seems very proud of that doctor title.
don't they
It
usually
was,
wear white jackets?
well, um, uh, different field of medicine. Mine is the medicine of the mind. Uh, just
They
trying
just
to.
give out degrees on the mainland.
Oh, well, I actually studied extremely hard for my degree.
Mhm.
Under some very prestigious masters in the field of psychiatry. Arkham University has a wonderful psychiatric department where right by the asylum you get some real hands-on experience.
And you're back here despite all that
Uh,
prestigiousness.
it, well, well, I'm kind of in between jobs at the moment. I figured just a breath of sea breeze would do me some good.
Yeah. Um, Darcy's just like gonna look at him for a moment and then kind of like pat them on the back. And then I'm sure he's a lot taller than like when he left, but she's like gonna try and like reach up and ruffle his hair and just be like, good to have
He
you back, Emmy.
he tries to like straighten out his hair, but it just seems like it's in a permanent like state of like ruffled mess. Basically, uh, yes, good to be back. Another obvious lie.
The mayor kind of shakes his head and looks over to Frankie. Kids, huh?
Well, it seems like they were just children the other day.
Yeah. Like somebody just said, more things change, more than stay the same. Still pulling on those pigtails.
It's true. It's true. Um, but Mary, I do have something to bring up to you. Um, I'm not sure you're aware, but George Poole and his crew have been missing for 2 days.
Oop. Do I know George Poole? I know he comes and goes, but
I mean, I'd say as the mayor, you
All right.
to answer your question, I'd say probably as the mayor, you're probably familiar with certain names, especially if it kind of seems like um, it seems like the names are familiar, like the last names are familiar at the very least. Um, so I I think you probably wouldn't remember George Poole specifically, but the last name does seem very familiar. You probably remember the parents, and you
hmm,
remember that there is a kid, and you know that there's a lot of fishermen coming on and off the island that you can't remember all of their names, but
yeah.
um, you know,
George. Bobby's boy. Missing, you say?
uh, Yeah, so it seems like they're missing. Holly. Okay.
Oh, she
Oh my
might be
gosh.
muted.
Ay, ay, ay.
The tech.
All the tech.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? And
Yes. Hi.
Yes.
I can hear you again. I don't understand what is happening. I am getting really upset about it because I usually never have this issue. I'm very sorry.
Fun fact, the horror game is actually navigating tech all day instead
I
of
swear.
actually anything
I'm
scary happening
out.
in game. I'm
I
just letting
will
y'all have a
leave.
little fun
Yeah.
role playing.
Oh God. Okay. So sorry. Say that one more time.
Just remembering George's parents, who I think I knew years ago, and you know, so missing though. I
Um.
hadn't heard about that.
Yes, in fact, Darcy, she had mentioned maybe they were drinking, and I just wasn't sure if anybody had heard anything else. And y- your surprise lets me know that this is news to you.
Sorry to hear that, Darcy.
I didn't know him that well. I just know that his crew was saying, he was going up towards the craggy point, stumbling around, he gets in it. And probably that's the last time I've heard of someone seeing him. Probably sleeping it off up there still.
Not necessarily the safest place to to wander around if you're a little unstable.
Agreed, but kids be doing kid things.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
came here to figure out who the hell's planning this migration thing, because they're docking at Craggy Point.
And at the mention of the migration again, Emmett kind of raises his hand, almost like he's back in class. Yes, and in fact, that's also why I'm here. Have any of you read some of these flyers that have been going around town? Uh,
Darcy will pull one out of her pocket and
yeah.
unfold. It was crumpled out.
So while it seems innocuous at first, there's a few lines that
And knock
really
you what?
uh, well. We can get into he's so stunned. He's having trouble processing the question. Anyways, just completely moving past that. While it seems simple at first glance, there is that statement about being on the right side of history, which I find at least a little, well, I was going to say disconcerting, a little bad. He just kind of looks at Darcy, looks back at, looks down at the flyer. It has an almost obsessive quality to it, as though I've seen similar statements made by people suffering from some kind of delusions, psychosis, this sort of messiah complex of taking history by the horns, as it were, and steering it in the proper direction. And it's concerning. That's all I can say about it.
I'll admit
Darcy's
I'm a little more concerned by. He pulls out one of his copies of the flyer. By devoured by your studies. That
Mm.
does not sound reasonable.
Well, back in Arkham, there were a few statements I've heard of a similar nature. I didn't feel it important to bring that up, but either way, there's a rather macabre. He looks again at Darcy, just waiting to see if she'll say anything. A rather macabre quality to it.
Just mutter, I think I had one of those for breakfast.
When they
But
say
she's like,
devoured. Oh, sorry.
oh, no, no,
Go.
no.
I was just saying
Darcy's just confused. Go ahead.
when they say devoured, does it include food? The studies, but like I study food, right? Like it's just like an old lady like that is like,
Yeah.
that sounds like it could be fun.
Uh, well, in this context, I've heard of students who have tried to study excerpts of the Necronomicon over in Arkham Library. Who've it's been said they were devoured by their studies, but really, I think they were just burnt out from the stress of trying to write their thesis statement on the madness of certain Abdul al-Hazred.
What is he saying?
I don't and
It's all
she ki
gibberish. Yeah,
yeah, she
it's
kinda
just
leans in and she's like, "I don't really know. I thought we were talking about food, but like I
Yeah, the macabre sandwich, probably. This is just what are you even saying, Em? This is a paper saying, "Come look at this migration," and it's going to be at Crab Trap Inn. There's gonna host it, and Craggy Point is for the docks. What is all of this other stuff you're saying?
I suppose the simplest way to put it is I just have a very, very bad feeling about this.
oh,
Something doesn't seem right.
That's
well,
probably the crab and peanut butter sandwich.
um, Lonnie, is it busy in here now or is it okay? Like, is there any other like hors d'oeuvres? Is there anybody? I don't know that I'm the right person to be doing this. Is there anybody around that looks sus?
Um, so, um, you're seeing a lot of like the fishermen coming in, um, from from the docks. Doesn't really seem like anybody is really like standing out to you as like suspicious. It does seem like there's kind of a general, um, a little bit of like a stressful air to the group that just recently came in. It seems like maybe their fishing hasn't really yielded a lot of results recently. So they don't really seem suspicious. They seem a little put down. Um, but you haven't not none of you have really like tried to talk to anybody. So there is the owner of the bar. He can probably be tracked down. Um, or maybe talking to somebody who like maybe one of the bartenders or something like that. You might be able to see if they've heard of anything. But like just kind of looking around the room, there's not really anything that sticks out to you as like that guy's weird.
Okay. Um, and she looks at Emmett. Well, Emmett, when you say things don't sit right with you, what do you mean?
Um, he seems to get a little bit sullen at the statement. When I was back in Arkham, I briefly interned at the asylum there, and in my time, I've got to see madness projected on an almost societal level. Um, One of my patients, and you can almost notice that his hands begin to twitch as he's recalling these memories. One of my patients was, unfortunately, one of the first New Englanders to suffer from a mustard gas attack. And I'll spare you the grisly details, but I earnestly couldn't understand, couldn't believe why any group of people would willingly subject themselves to something that awful and For what? For what? Uh, I feel that uh, almost as though as civilization gets more advanced, we're becoming more unhinged. More and more people. It's as though we're losing some battle against sanity. And the last thing I want to see is my hometown be fixated on some strange cultish migration.
Mm. Um, Not fully understanding, right? With your permission. Uh,
No worries.
uh, okay. Frankie, you know, grabs her hand, does like the little grandma pat, and she's like, "Oh, Emmett, always such a sweetheart. I don't think you have to worry about something like that here."
Oh, of course not. Of course not. All that nonsense is for city folks in Arkham. Not here on the island. Everything is perfectly fine here. There's no need to go running off the handle just because somebody's running off flyers without the proper authorizations.
I sincerely hope you're correct for all of our sakes.
While this conversation is happening, I think Mayor Larry, I think you will be the most likely to recognize Tim Driftwood, the owner of the bar. He comes in from probably like a back room or the kitchen or some other part of the inn. And when you kind of when you do notice him, first of all, he's wearing like kind of full like long sleeves pants, which kind of seems weird because he's usually one of those guys that looks like he's always ready to just go hop in a boat and go fishing, usually just short sleeves. He looks a little pale, um, maybe a little taken aback by something, but you can't really get a good read on him. But he kind of ambles in, goes to kind of focus on something behind the bar, kind of like puts his hand on the bar, leans down to look for something. Um, but you'll notice when he comes in.
I think I'm on the verge of flagging him down, and then I'm kind of pausing in my tracks to take in, you know, the sleeves and the pants and the pale. And I think rather than waving him down, maybe I go over to say hello, check in, and see how he's doing.
Sure, absolutely. So you go over and he's still kind of like you almost kind of hear him grunting a little bit, trying to reach for something under the bar. You can't really see what he's going for. Do you try to get his attention, or do you kind of just wait for him to come back up?
Um, I'm not in any hurry. I can wait a moment.
So yeah, he's kind of just seems like he's reaching for something kind of like further back. Maybe it like fell closer back to the like and closer to the back of the shelves on the bar. When he kind of stands up, he's kind of like really leaning on he like kind of has his hand really heavy on the bar trying to stand up. And when he finally like kind of straightens out and uh he's kind of fiddling with a bottle that it doesn't really seem like anything uh of importance, but he's just kind of like he kind of puts it down, kind of washes off the top of it a little bit. And when he finally kind of settles to look around, he sees you. Um and usually you know him to be a fairly, I wouldn't say a pleasant guy, but he runs a business and he doesn't usually, scare people away. Um but now he just kind of looks at you with these very blank eyes.
You okay there, Tim?
He just gives a
Seem a
curt
little bit
nod.
unsteady.
Fine.
Mhm.
Have you seen you remember Emmett? He was just back in town. I wanted to wanted to say hello. I am trying to introduce this guy to the only psychiatrist
Psychiatrist.
I know.
Yeah. I was actually just about to ask. Okay, so does Emmett notice, like him walk into the bar? Is he noticing like how off the guy seems?
I'd assume so. So you were just in a conversation that included the mayor,
Mhm.
and then kind of he kind of like ambled away. So I'm assuming you probably realized like, oh, that was, you know, a little weird that he just kind of up and left the conversation. So it would probably have grabbed your attention.
So would it be possible for me to roll psychoanalysis and just see if even from a distance I'd be able to notice anything off, even if it's something as simple as like his pupils seem a bit dilated or yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not with a roll like that.
Oh
We do
shucks.
have hero points if you'd like to use those, or you can also spend 28
Good
luck
God.
to get that down.
I think I'll use the hero point.
Okay, sounds
All
good.
right. Oh,
There you go.
Okay,
all right.
all right. So you're kind of looking from across the bar, and you don't personally know the guy too well, but because you have such a good psychoanalysis roll, um, first of all, you will be able to notice that the his eyes are very not not dilated, they're constricted. They're like very almost like really the
Mm,
blacks of his eyes are like very small. Um and the paleness, he kind of looks clammy. He looks very like socially uninterested in the conversation. Not that he's like busy, but more so kind of that he's actually just not fully there.
like he's
Um
disassociating.
kind of.
Mm,
It seems like he's uncomfortable and disassociating, not by anything that the mayor said, but just kind of like as an owner of a bar, you'd think that he'd be more comfortable in his bar surrounded by paying customers, and he just seems like he does not belong there.
mm. I'll exchange a look with the mayor and I think try to broach this subject like as carefully as I can. So I'm not sure if this would be psychology or persuade, but in a very, very gentle voice, Emmett might say, Mr. Driftwood, is everything all right?
I'd say if you rolled a psychoanalysis for the last roll, I think you'd kind of be in that psychology mindset. So I think that would probably be a good kind of like trying to calm
Uh,
him down, trying to see what the problem is, see if you can help him through it. I think psychology would be a good roll.
all right. Ooh.
That's only 8 luck this time.
Yeah, I think I'll spend that 8 luck. Don't want
Okay.
to totally rely on the hero points. So would I just
Oh,
manually
so go into
oh,
edit mode,
okay.
and then you can you can subtract the 8 from your total luck.
All
Just
right.
gotta do some quick maths. Um, so
It's oh, continue.
yeah. Okay, so he doesn't,
Ah, darn it.
regardless of, are you using edit mode? In the top right, there's the little toggle.
Oh, no,
It's
I was using
in
the
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's the edit mode that's inside of the Call of Cthulhu version of Roll20, not the Roll20 window. It's
okay,
a little
so
silly.
it's the little cog,
No, so
or
if you're looking like if you're scrolled all the way to the top, you see how there's like your character sheet, bio and info, attributes and abilities.
right. Yeah, it's the edit
Below
button there.
that to the right, in that little black bar where it has the roll
Oh,
options, then whisper to keeper, and then there's edit mode.
okay, okay. So I spent 8 luck points. There we go. Oh
So
wait.
with your successful roll, um, he will fully turn to look to you. And he just kind of deepens his voice a little, says, "Yes."
Now, Mr.
What
Driftwood, are are you sure you're okay? Is there something you want to talk about?
gonna give you a little bit of a look, kind of like if you're gonna be the therapist in this situation right now, kind of like he wants to only be talking to you and not really like have other people here.
Mm,
So he kind of that look of like kind of getting a little bit closer to just you.
Yeah, the mayor's going to back off.
all right.
Um, and he will um he'll pause for a second. He'll look you dead in the eyes, kind of like above his like the kind of like over his eyebrows, kind of like this. And he gives you the tiniest little smile. Um, and you realize that this is the first time that you've seen his teeth because he's kind of been talking kind of pretty closed-mouthed. Um, they look kind of pointed.
Mm.
And he says, "Just fishy. How are you?"
Oh, oh.
And he goes to close his mouth again and kind of recorrects and kind of will start to look pretty busy-bodied around the bar again.
Emmett immediately backs off at that point, and he kind of gestures to the mayor, goes back to the group. Um, Something is definitely not right with Mr. Driftwood. He looks at the mayor again. Did you see it? His teeth. His I. I've heard of certain tribes, certain cultures, the Amazon sub-Saharan Africa, who, uh, well, I don't want to call it dentistry, but they'll carve their teeth in these ritualized fashions. It's quite disconcerting. I don't think everything's okay with Mr. Driftwood right now.
Mayor, really fast, would you like to roll me another spot hidden? Just while you kind of backed away, and Emmett was kind of just having that little exchange, probably trying to divert your eyes. Maybe you were looking around the bar to see if there was anything else.
Sure. I also have first aid if there's anything like medically diagnostic that I might be able to pick up on.
Um,
That's a stretch.
if I guess that if it is up to you, I will leave that up to you. You can roll whichever you'd like. I think either would be okay. So you can whichever one you feel like you'd want to roll more.
All right. Well, yeah, Larry spent a little bit of his military time in as a corpsman, so he's got a little bit of medical. He's got more medical
He's
than I
got
thought he did.
a he's got a lot of medical and he is very, very good at it. Um yeah, so you while you're kind of looking away, I guess you're kind of looking at him but kind of like giving privacy. So you're kind of letting your eyes wander around the bar and at one point you let your eyes settle back on Tim. Um but you're kind of trying to give privacy, but you kind of notice that the the long sleeve shirt that he's wearing, it kind of seems like it's pretty taut around his arms are pretty tight. And it kind of looks like the skin underneath is a little like textured, like maybe he has a scab or something that just looks like it's kind of like creating little weird splotches underneath the shirt. And when you were talking to him too, you also would have realized that kind of like his skin wasn't more, it was like that like sickly greenish pale, not just like color brushed out of his face. You don't really see anything that you like immediately want to like operate on. You can always see if you want to ask him more, but you do realize that obviously he hasn't really been receptive to a lot of talking. So you're not gonna like I don't know if Larry would be the type to kind of grab an arm and try to like pull up a sleeve or anything like that, but
Is there a doctor on the island?
yes.
I was like, there's a
There's
psychologist.
there's
Yeah.
gotta be a
Doctor of
doctor.
psychiatry.
Psychiatrist,
There's
But
gotta
he's
be
sorry.
a doctor.
what,
I
like
can't
what,
help with
what would
bullet
be the
wounds,
chances of
but
me
What
not
the
making a doctor on the island? No, there definitely is a doctor on the island. There's also probably a lot of people that very similarly to you probably have some kind of first aid experience just because you know, working on boats where accidents can happen and everything like that, but there are also definitely trained medical professionals for bigger, you know, bigger procedures, bigger issues and stuff like that. Where did I put my notes? Sorry.
most. Oh no, I was just gonna say the most Emmett can do on this island is like prescribe opiates.
I mean, it looks like he's struggling with something, but don't know if don't know if you want to just go off and give people opiates for free. So you do know of a doctor. The doctor's name is Dr. John Port. Um, he's kind of one of those doctors that kind of does house calls more so. Kind of has to set up like as a part of his house. Just there's not really like a big hospital or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you do know that you could probably he knows you and is familiar with you, so you could probably ask him questions if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think Emmett and I both go back over to the other two, and I am the last person to believe that there's anything fishy going on around here. But if he's not well, and he's serving food, and we've got a whole wave of guests coming to see him, we might want to have Dr. Port take a look.
What's wrong with
You all think?
him?
Um, Miss Darcy, has it become a habit for sailors to file down their teeth recently?
Oh, no, you mean that teeth grinding thing you do when you're sleeping?
Uh, well, this looks like either he's been grinding his teeth for quite a while, or he may have contracted some disease of some sort that could be wreaking havoc on his mind.
And his skin.
You see this a lot with syphilis.
Let's not go jump into to conclusions, but
Just trying to put my degree to good use.
Got to be used somehow. The Darcy's gonna like look over at um Temp. Does From the distance, does anything look like it's actually, like, wrong with him?
He looks very he looks very rigid. Like I said, his skin is very pale. Um, he he doesn't seem like he's gonna topple over or anything like that, but he definitely just like he kind of just seems like a corpse kind of, but standing up. If that, I don't know.
Um,
It's like a general malaise.
Yeah,
okay. Sorry.
not
Um,
really. Yeah, go ahead.
Darcy's just, like, looking at them, seeing, like, how he's looking. He's like, "Yo, Tim, you sick or something?" Like, very loudly.
Um, he will kind of slowly turn and his eyes will focus on you. But you'll also notice that a lot of the other fishermen in the bar have now been attracted to this and are now also like turning to him to be like, what's happening? Like, what's like, are we eating food that like someone who was sick is around? Um, so all of a sudden it seems like everyone is kind of looking towards him and his eyes focus on you and then they kind of shift around the restaurant and then he turns abruptly and walks out of the bar. And I think now might be a good time because I'm seeing it's already 10:12, so I think now would be a good time to take a break. So James, if you are there, we're gonna take a quick 10-minute break, come back at 10:22, and we will figure out where Tim is going and what's wrong with him. And was he the one making the peanut butter and crab sandwiches?
Oh, no, you ate it! Infected.
I told you, bro.
And
I
everybody
warned you.
knows that hot sauce.
Hello, and welcome back to Caravan of Cthulhu Week. Just a quick reminder before we get right back into stream. This is all one big part of a great Caravan of Cthulhu Week. We're running a lot of different spooky games to raise money for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So right now, if you want, you can either scan the QR code that is in the bottom right of the stream. Or you can also enter !donate in the chat to be able to find the link. If you donate $10, every $10 you donate will be added towards a raffle at the end for you to be able to win some pretty cool prizes. You'll also be helping a good cause, and bonus points for you can contribute villain points or hero points to the games that are happening this week to just really make it an all-around good package for helping out some charities and traumatizing your friends. So with that, we're going to get back into it. Last we saw our party members. They were watching as the local bar owner, who looked a little sickly, kind of just turned and booked it out of his own restaurant out the back door. What do you guys do? Do you have any intention of trying to follow him? He kind of goes through a back door, so he didn't like hop over the bar or anything like that. So you'd probably have to get back there to be able to follow him if you were to. So,
I say we follow him.
Does anybody else follow him? Like any of the people that stopped and did that weird stuff?
um, you do see one of his employees kind of look a little concerned and try to follow after him, but it seems like a lot of the people that are just in the bar, they're kind of like I mentioned earlier, they've kind of all seem a little like maybe it was a bad fishing day, so they're kind of all a little downtrodden. You don't really see anyone going to make any big moves and chase after him and what are you doing being sick and for giving us food? But also they probably know too that he's not always like really the person that's cooking the food. He's kind of in charge of a whole bunch of different things. So they're not really too concerned other than just, hope he's doing okay.
Okay.
But yeah, you do see one of his employees that was behind the bar kind of like just follow after him just to see if he's okay.
Don't want
Leaving
to
the
slow
bar
things down, but
unmanned.
just at a very quick glance, do the rest of his staff look healthy-ish?
Um, most part.
I'm assuming somebody served me my sandwich before he came back. So
The person that you talked to when you first got your sandwich didn't raise any alarm bells. Um, if you do kind of do a quick little glance around, um, you do see one other person that just like a worker that's behind the bar. They're kind of just like sitting down, kind of like spacing out a little bit, um, looking a little pale, but like it's just that one guy. The person that you talked to didn't raise any alarm bells, and it doesn't really seem like it's like a thing that's spreading per se.
okay.
We should.
Well, what? Go on.
Frankie, you gonna say we should go after him?
I was gonna say, what did you guys do to say to him? Make him leave. We better go get him.
Yeah, we didn't mean anything by it. Guys thought he was sick. Thought he could give him an answer.
Well, um, lead the way, as they say.
Jump over the bar.
Go for it.
Um, if you're all gonna be trying to go, you might as well see if maybe one of you could just. So either you'd have to be stealthy, or I would say maybe try to persuade somebody behind the bar just to be like, "Hey, we just want to follow him and check in, make sure he's okay." I don't think all of you are gonna be able to just slide across the bar and not have somebody be like, "What are you doing? You
Okay.
don't work here."
If that's the case, then is there like this is I don't know if this even is there like a piano? I assume there's a piano in everything. But is there a piano? Is there actual music playing? Does anyone actually look like they're having a party, or does everyone kind of look like they're just standing around?
So there is a piano. It's not currently being played. You don't really, from the vibes of kind of what you're reading from the flyers, it doesn't really seem like it's just like every night's gonna be a party at the bar. It's kind of like trying to get people to come. And so far it doesn't look like it's the people that have it doesn't look like it's maybe reached its target audience or something like that. Um, so it doesn't really seem like it seems like everyone is eating food that they ordered and drinking drinks that they ordered from the bar. It doesn't seem like things are getting handed out per se. Um, and yeah, it's kind of just seems like it's a normal night. Maybe there's a few more decorations if you've been in recently. Maybe there's just like a few more like fishing nets decorating the
Well,
place than usual.
okay. Well, knowing that my friends are gonna have to go figure out, or at least one of them has to, I'm gonna I'm gonna cause a distraction if I can. I would like to one there's obviously liquor bottles behind the bar. I will grab the quickest and easiest one within, and um with my arthritic fingers, I'm gonna grab as many shot glasses as I can and like string them out across the bar. And um, I mean, I do all right for myself, you know. So she takes out some money and throws it on the bar and is like, "Drinks on me," and and starts doing that. And as she starts pouring it, it's like she's done this before. You've never seen her move so
Oh.
gracefully. And she pours the shots and she attempts to rile everyone up and you know uh for the sake of brevity and maybe storytelling, hopefully, I know somebody here that can play the piano. And I shout out their name and I'm like, play the piano, like she's like, she's trying to like, she's reliving one of those soirees that she has in the evenings at the Rookery.
Sure, absolutely. There's a wife of one of the local fishermen, so somebody who probably hasn't already been up for so many hours of the day, a little bit lighter mood than the rest of them, will you'll recognize them as somebody who plays the piano, and she'll go up, she'll kind of stretch out her fingers, and she'll start playing a jolly tune. Definitely will grab one of the shots that you're offering as she kind of makes her way over there.
Perfect.
Um, and I think I'm just gonna have you roll a persuade, maybe, just to kind of get everybody
So bad.
like just to kind of, everyone was a little downtrodden, and now you're trying to get them to party. So, let's see if
Okay.
you're a
It's gonna
little
be really bad. My persuade is not great. See,
okay.
Oh.
Do you have a better charm?
charm
Maybe.
much better. Yes.
Sure. Okay. I should have offered either one. There we go.
Yay, but
All right.
barely. It's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. Yep.
1
So,
point.
she's playing the piano. Some people will kind of like they'll kind of like look at their buddies, kind of shrug it off. Some of them will like pat, like one of them will kind of stand up, pat one of their other buddies on the back or something, and start making moves to uh, lighten the mood a little bit, grab a drink. And then that kind of gives all of you a little bit more of a chance to follow through how bars usually have one of those little like doors that kind of opens up. You can kind of use that and see if you can sneak through the back door.
How big is this place? If I go out the front and scurry around, would I get to the same place pretty efficiently, or if we don't go out the back, we're gonna lose him?
Um, so this place isn't necessarily too big, but there is like another building attached. It's kind of like a row of like two or three buildings. So you'd probably have to just like scurry around the buildings. But if you wanted to, you could probably you might be a little bit further behind the rest of the group, but well, I guess if you ran out right away instead of waiting for people to kind of get distracted, you could probably get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the mayor can easily sneak out the back without anybody
Sure.
thinking that it's noteworthy. So
That's
go out
fair.
the front and
Gotta maintain your good public standing. You walk out the front door, and yeah, a lot of people are, you kind of just see some people kind of just walking back to their homes, or kind of, you see some people at the docks kind of just putting everything to dock for the day. So everything's pretty slow outside. You can definitely run around the back of the building. Um, you'll be able to get there around the time where you kind of see him, because he had to go through like the kitchen and everything like that to be able to get out the door. So you'll probably just see him emerging from the back.
okay. That's gonna take me long enough. I'll basically get there at the same time as everybody else. So
Perfect. The rest of you, while you are heading back, you're going to be walking through kind of like a little bit of a longer hallway that connects to the kitchen. Um, and while you're walking, I will say that you do see a bunch of like, you see one of those kind of like walls of just a bunch of newspaper clippings. Like, just a whole bunch of like different things that kind of
Like a
it catches your
conspiracy board.
eye. Yeah, well, it's not really a bulletin board of like different flyers for it's newspaper clippings. It's not like a bulletin board
Mhm.
per se. Um, but it just catches your eye. If anyone wants to look at it, or if you want to keep running after um Tim.
I think Emmett, being the intellectual sort he is probably going to see if he can't like quickly parse through the newspaper clippings, see if there's any running theme in them, hopefully it would help him diagnose what kind of mania is afflicting Tim.
Absolutely. Well, I guess if you're looking for a mania, then definitely feel free to do either psychology or psychoanalysis. Oh, I guess psychology would be better for not actually um like if you're just reading through articles and trying to find similar themes and similar mindsets and stuff like that.
Right on. All right, so psychology.
Ooh.
Geez, okay, with the extreme successes in psychology.
He's a smart boy.
Should have brushed up.
For someone who's burnt out, you are like still on top of your game. Um, you take a quick glance at the newspapers, and one thing that you first all notice is you do see a few like just little pictures of different things that are historical for the town. You see a picture of someone that looks like a dead ringer for Tim, obviously without the pale skin. Um, and the little caption underneath it adorns it as Tom Driftwood, his father. The picture was taken about 30, 40 years ago. He's beaming with the new crab trap sign, just freshly painted right outside of the building. Just looks so proud to be opening the crab trap in. Um, you also see a picture of a lighthouse keeper. His name, the little caption underneath says Howard Shelbourne. It seems like this one caught your attention because there is a big flock of seagulls behind it, and it does kind of call back to the dream that you had been told about earlier. Just it just caught your attention. There's a decent amount of seagulls in the background behind the lighthouse, but it's a picture of him standing pretty rigidly. He looks like he's probably in his 70s or 80s. Big long beard, like you'd imagine somebody who doesn't really leave his lighthouse too often and is in isolation. Um, he looks very serious, and the caption underneath dates Howard Shelbourne discovers bodies near Craggy Point. Sadly, couldn't save any lives, but uh, was able to pull them safely to shore to be buried properly. And this was also probably about 30, 40 years ago. Seemed like it was just something that the newspaper doesn't get a lot of things to talk about, so it just was a big thing to find apparently multiple bodies out by the water. So they took a picture of him after having done all of that, which is probably why his expression looks so serious. And then you do also see you see a few that are kind of talking about the fishing patterns and how the fishing patterns were very good in like big fishing boom 1885 just kind of like that sort of stuff. You see a lot of stuff that's happenstances in the town, but those are kind of like the three biggest things that catch your attention from it. Was there anything else you were looking for specifically?
No, I think that handles it. I think he'll specifically grab that clipping of the Howard Shelbourne story and just kind of shove it in his pocket before continuing on with everyone else. I think he'll find that to be kind of important, or at least paralleling what's happening right now.
Really? Yeah, so you pocket it, and you'll notice that Darcy is a little bit further ahead of you on the in that long hallway, and will probably get out there a little bit faster than you and meet up with Larry. But eventually you will catch up. And what's your plan for pursuing him? You got all probably had to kind of act swift-footedly to. He got a
Hmm.
little bit of a head start. Does anyone
Uh,
have any good like navigate to kind of figure out
Navigate.
like gave gain ground, I guess, from
I-
all the distance that was left. All right.
Something I'm good at.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you're kind of doing a little bit of like tracking just to make sure that you can catch up and you're following the right track. It kind of gets a little steep. It's
Is he
away
heading
from
towards Craggy Point? Does it seem like?
yeah. Yeah. It kind of seems like the main strip of like the village is pretty well like walked on and everything like that, pretty flat, but after you kind of get behind the buildings and kind of a little bit further away from town, it kind of is a little bit more rocky terrain leading towards Craggy Point. Like you've probably seen Craggy Point more so from the water than you have from the shore. But you can still kind of like start to see just the tip of the lighthouse as you start to navigate up the hills a little bit. And are you like you're kind of just making sure that everyone is keeping up with you while you do that, or are you trying to run like up ahead?
Um, Probably trying to run up ahead.
Okay, sure, yeah. So I think because all of you are separating just a tiny little bit, I will have somebody in the other group, so either Emmett or Larry, also roll a navigate, or if you want to do a climb instead. It starts to get a little rocky behind here, but you just want to make sure you're trying to keep pace and follow the most effective trail to keep up with Tim and Darcy.
Emmett definitely skipped gym class, but I'll try and navigate.
Oh,
Oh.
Well, it looks like you might be taking the long way out.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a path, like when you go on a hike and you can kind of see when people have diverted the path enough times that it still kind of wears its own new path. You've missed that, but you'll still get there. It just you're gonna have to get over a few
Probably
more rocks and stumble a few times, but
some skin
trip,
knees.
tear a
yeah.
little bit of my jacket, get covered in dirt.
Oh no, that's exactly what you were worried about in the first place.
Yep. Yep. Is by the time he catches up, there's going to be like twigs in his hair, just a bunch of gunk, just all over.
The sweat stains.
Oh yeah.
Makes
Just
sense that the guy
green.
who's been away for so long doesn't really remember his way around.
Yeah. Do you want to roll a separate roll and kind of see if you can assist, maybe bring Emmett a little bit out of
Come on, old man.
the treachery? Or are you gonna follow him
Yeah,
and just
so the options were navigate and climb.
I think so, unless you could make a good argument for another skill.
Uh,
Trust me, I'm right there with you if they aren't too
yeah.
good.
I'm good at following orders. I'm not so good at leading the way. Got a 10 in navigate and a 20 in climb. Uh,
Same.
Having navigated very, very poorly, I guess I am trying to get us back on track, and this is not going to go well. And in fact, it didn't.
Oh my gosh. For
We're
everyone
doing
following along
great.
at home, we have a 96 out of 25 fumble for navigate from Emmett, and an 89 over 10 for a regular failure from the mayor. So
Yeah, I am cursing how many years it's been since basic training. I've been telling myself I am in better shape than I apparently am.
it's also the part of town that people don't go to too often. It's, like, who would have thought that the mayor would have to be, like, all dressed up and everything would have to be climbing rocks to get out to Craggy Point today.
Exactly.
So,
It's okay. I'll get there. I'll get there eventually, guys. Don't wait up. I'm on my way. just
Oh,
panting, sweat, just he is not having a good time.
I'm sorry. Um, quickly so for Frankie, does Frankie have any intention to try to catch back up with the group
But when
after a little
everyone is
while?
like sufficiently like imbibing or not, whatever they choose, or like at least appear to be having a good time and less what I would consider they're less sullen and they're a little more loosey goosey. Like I'll be like, I gotta catch up to my friends. I'm not gonna catch up to my friends, but I'll roll for it if you want me to.
You know what? I think that there is going to be because everyone is grateful that uh you know there are a lot of fishermen that are familiar with you already from going to your I'm gonna keep calling it an Airbnb. I'm so sorry. It's just
It's
it's a
really
bed and breakfast.
okay. Like
But a lot of people already have a very good impression of you because of your bed and breakfast, staying there, probably having good memories, and after now with them kind of having their spirits lifted by you a little bit, I actually think that one of the fishermen will be willing to kind of show you the path. Like he kind of took up like just even when he's on shore or yeah, even when he's on shore, he still kind of just likes to adventure. So whether he's out in the open ocean or he's just ambling through the woods somewhere, I think he'd be willing to maybe help you um point you in the right direction at least.
perfect. And as I'm leaving, I'm like, oh, this place is nice, but you should really check out the rookery. Like, we'll always have vacancies. Like, she's really like, homemade meals every night, like snacks all the time. You know, she's like, I'll make the macabre sandwich on request. Like, she's like not thrilled. Like, and she,
Macabre.
it's ridiculous. I couldn't let it go. I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
He'll 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 kind of lean in and he's like, to be honest with you, I don't know how um people eat that.
Oh, we really
I'm a
keep,
proud member of Gull Isle, but I'll
you know,
take your home cooking any day.
really keep it for the mayor. Is why it's there.
The homemade recipe.
Right. Like, and she's
It's
There
all about
are
the
a few
hot
other
sauce.
people that probably dabble in it too, but
It's the sweet and salty.
you definitely you found the guy that likes to um like be all over the place but still have the consistent good meal at the end of the day that's just like homey and centering. He's
perfect.
just like, I want an apple crisp or a casserole.
She's like, those are my kind of people. Like, she's like, yeah, like, perfect. Okay. I assume I'm shown the way and I make my way
Yeah.
through the town. Okay.
You will kind of be brought like the scenic route, but there actually is like a more specific path leading to it because it is still the lighthouse and like people still do dock there normally. It's not the chosen docking area. But there's still some foot traffic to and from every once in a while. Um so yeah, it'll he'll take you the long way, but it'll be no climbing rolls. Let's just say that.
Okay. Good.
For the rest of you, well, actually, I guess for Darcy first, because Darcy will reach a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you're keeping pretty good pace with Tim. He's he's kind of ambling up the hill. He's even having a little bit of trouble with it. It seems like he's stumbling a little bit. You're probably actually walking more efficiently than him, but it does seem like he is not like he's not stopping. He's just not doing it well. Um,
No one that's sick can do this.
well, um, when you start getting a little bit closer to being able to actually see the tip of the lighthouse, I want you to roll me a listen.
Okay.
See if you catch anything on the wind. Okay.
Can I use a hero point?
Sure, if you want to. Okay.
35.
I hate to say that you probably didn't want to pass that, but
Oh.
Oh.
as you are starting to walk up the hill, you start to kind of hear this kind of like guttural chanting of sorts. Kind of feels like you can't tell exactly which direction it's coming from. It feels like it's being carried on the wind and it's coming from this direction and that direction. It almost feels like maybe it's in your head to begin with and you aren't even actually hearing anything out in the world. And I think I'm gonna have you roll. Weirdly enough, that the fact that it is like 3 hours in, the first sanity roll of the game. Um,
Good luck.
okay. So I'm just gonna have you take 1 for that then.
Okay.
And you again, you it feels like it's coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. But as the lighthouse is coming more and more into view, it just seems like this big pinnacle. And you feel like that must be it. You know, it's just getting more and more into view, and it just seems undeniable that there's anything else that could be doing it other than that.
The lighthouse is her guide on the water. It is always a good place to get to when she's trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, it's calling to you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna
Mhm.
follow?
Does it seem like Tim is going that way as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Then
He is going towards it. It almost feels like the fact that it's coming more and more into view is more and more motivating to him.
yeah, she's gonna follow. She does try to call out to Tim, just like, "Hey, Tim, like, Tim, where the hell are you going? Tim, what's going on?" Like, trying to like get some sort of reaction to like, if you're
He
sick, it's fine.
he kind of does like he kind of like throws his arm back like he's like "Pfeh," like ugh, don't worry about it, but like just behind you in like a vague direction, kind of just like grunts and keeps going.
Sam is tying this back to how Paul was acting, but I don't know if Darcy necessarily would. She's gonna look over her shoulder and see how far back everyone else is, but if she like doesn't readily see them, like she's just gonna kind of continue on, but maybe slow her pace a little bit.
Well, the rest of your party, you will probably see them. You can probably like it's kind of a little bit of like a rocky cliff kind of thing, so you kind of see them as little dots that are getting a little bit bigger as they just are making their way, ambling kind of over rocky terrain. If you slow your pace, they will definitely be able to catch up eventually. Darcy seems like she might kind of get a little like frustrated after a little while, but eventually they will reach you. Um, Especially once it kind of starts to like once you kind of get to the top and the lighthouse is a little bit more in view, it kind of seems to plateau out a little bit.
Okay. I don't want to wait, but I should wait because I might die.
It's up to you. Um,
I feel like Darcy waits like 30 seconds and she's like, "No, they're still not here," like doing the whole like jumping in place thing, like just like ready to go. Um, Also worried about Tim, like she's been a part of this community forever. And thinks like it couldn't hurt to just like go see what's inside and like what he's going to.
Also try to see if you could help in some way.
Yeah.
If you're really torn, you could kind of just, do you want to call down to them and say, not that rock, this rock? Or do you think you would have any, like, do you think you'd have a backpack on you with anything in it?
I mean, she'd probably have a backpack just like from coming off the boat on the land. But it doesn't like have much in it besides like her fishing knife that she uses to, to like clean fish and stuff like that. So, if they seem to be struggling, like she will call down and be like, not that rock. You put your foot over there, like, and if they are having trouble, like she'll like huff and then like look back at the lighthouse and then like walk down towards them and like try to like help them get up.
Why don't you roll me one more navigate?
Yeah.
Just to kind of like, they took a different path than you, so now you kind of have to look at the path they're taking and say, this would be better and that would be better.
Toots, my goats. Let me get out of edit mode. Because it's like there's only so many places he can go now that we're at the cliff. Excuse me. A 90 out of 55.
Do you want to stick with that? Do you want to hero point? Do you want to spend 40, 35 luck?
I will spend 35 luck.
You're gonna spend 35 luck?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so you you channel your wanting to go towards the lighthouse completely by yourself energy into instead helping to make sure that they can safely get up towards where you are, so you don't have to be alone in the lighthouse if if there was anything spooky about the lighthouse, if there was.
It's like if
But yeah, so
you're
you
gonna
successfully
break your neck.
Yeah, you make sure that they're safe, you make sure they get up, they get up a little bit faster with your guidance, and you're
We
able to
made it.
regroup with them, and you can still see Tim because, like I said, it kind of plateaued at the point that you're at, so now it's kind of just you're looking straight towards the lighthouse. I will say though that when Emmett and Larry get up to the top, I will also need a sanity roll from both of you, as you kind of are witnessing the lighthouse and kind of feeling like that impactful just air about it. Okay.
Fail, fail, fail.
Sanity.
Listen to the pretty music, guys.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna have each of you take 5 for that. As the lighthouse comes into full view and it seems like it's just taking over the horizon. It just feels like it's kind of almost like suppressing anything other than just it's all encompassing at this point. And both of you, I will say, now have a new kind of invigorated urge to just keep going. You're tired from climbing, but now you're like, I want to see what's in that lighthouse.
If we both lost 5 points, does that mean we are temporarily insane?
I accidentally rolled twice. My apologies. You can ignore the critical success.
Rules as written, it would, but
Rules as written. I'll say that both of you, I won't say temporary insanity, but I will say that it does feel like the lighthouse is calling to you. And you kind of, instead of instead of following Tim and being concerned about that, it does kind of feel like the lighthouse is more so the priority right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so you're all continuing walking?
With Emmett, it's more of a trundle.
Trundle.
He's,
Okay.
yeah, half, kind of hunchbacked, breathing heavily, not even, like, saying a word.
Okay. You're making your way towards the lighthouse, and eventually you will come across, kind of off of a side path, you'll start to see Frankie with one of the local fishermen coming up aside. So once once the fisherman kind of sees that Frankie is in good hands, will kind of pass her off to the rest of back to the group. Do you? He'll kind of like give that look of like, you sure you're okay up here?
She kind of reaches over and, does the same thing that she had done to Emmett before and just gives a little shoulder pat and like hand pat or whatever, and she reaches in her sweater pocket, she hands him like a little candy, and she's like, "Oh yes, I'll be just fine." Like like eh, nothing in this town is gonna worry me. I've been here, wasn't born here, but been here a very long time. And she's like, and I think my friends are up there, so it should be just fine. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, then you take care and come calling if you need.
Um, of course, yeah, yes. Uh, I'll see you tomorrow, I'm sure, at the inn. Or yeah, the rookery, whatever. It's all the inn. It's an Airbnb. It's an inn. It's fine.
Um, he'll kind of give that nod of like, all right, I'll leave you to it. Um, and then he will kind of turn, start walking away, look back one last time, and keep going. One second, I'm just gonna take off this hat. It's starting to give me a little bit of a headache. I'm
No,
gonna take my headphones off for a second.
it's okay. Not me fluctuating back and forth between a sweater and not a sweater. I'm dying. I don't know how Sam is doing it. Like,
All for the cosplay.
Built different.
I should have turned my AC like way up before I decided to have a hat that's made out of like official PVC, like keeping all the heat in my head.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, you reconnect with the group.
perfect.
You start to walk towards the lighthouse. I will also I think I'm gonna just for the sake of consistency, I'm also gonna have you roll a sanity roll to see how you get affected once you see the lighthouse in full. You were ready. Okay. Um all right, let's
I'm
Come
see.
on,
keeping it.
guys.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
keeping it.
Okay. Um well,
It's so beautiful.
Right.
I rolled a 6, so you are also
Oh,
kind of under the same spell as Emmett and Larry, kind of just forgetting a little bit of the purpose of coming up here and more so just really intrigued by the lighthouse that seems to just be dominating your mind at this point.
How much sanity do I lose?
6.
That's okay. I was just double checking. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yep. All right. So you
have
all
they
start. Yes.
have they kind of like stopped in their tracks or?
No, if anything, they're probably kind of leading you a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Depending on, um physicality. They all seem very adamant to get there. Um so you don't have to convince anybody. Uh
I'm glad
kind of
that
just
pick up. This
straightforward.
is why you need to exercise. Pick up the pace. Let's go.
All right, yeah, you all start walking, and this lighthouse just like it's just one of those lighthouses that it looks fairly normal, but it really does kind of feel like that honing beacon, like something that's calling you somewhere and you're going towards it, and um it just feels like, you know, you're gonna be safe soon.
Mm.
Um
What time of day is it?
it is probably I'm gonna say it's probably close to like 6 or 7, so it is really starting to get a little bit darker out. So the light from the lighthouse is actually starting to become more prominent.
Okay.
You can kind of see it circling overhead. Um, there's like a little bit of a fog right now, so it's kind of like catching on the particles in the air, so you can kind of see when it goes like passes above you.
Hmm. But otherwise, I mean, so like Darcy's seen this lighthouse more times than she can count. Um, from the water, does anything seem strange about the way that it's moving? Like, is something off at all about as far as she can see from like its normal function?
Uh, it's functioning like a normal lighthouse. Um, It kinda seems a little bit dimmer than it usually is. Um, you've seen it so many times before, and it kinda seems like honestly, for you, it kinda seems like you're actually having a little bit more trouble seeing the beam, um, when the rest of them seem like moths drawn to a flame.
Okay, so Howard
Yeah,
probably didn't change the light.
Um,
Guys, does the light seem a little dim? If people are docking in Craggy Point, they really shouldn't be like that.
as you're walking, a fog
Mm.
definitely is starting to get a little bit denser towards it as well. Um, so it's you're like you looking at it from a logical perspective are kind of realizing it's not really like cutting through too far away. Like you're looking at it from right above you. But as somebody who's a sailor, you would probably question whether somebody could see it um from like out on the sea.
Mhm.
Well, with Emmett enthralled, he'll probably say something like, "Oh, we'll figure that out when we get up there." Just something completely like non-committal, but like really, that lighthouse is the center of his attention right now.
You ain't gonna like psychoanalyze the lighthouse, like, oh, it's spinning at such and such rate, and that means, it's gonna draw this sort of thing to it.
Nah, I'm not a Freudian.
No, you're Emmett.
Yeah, we have to get in there. We have to see what's in the lighthouse. You aren't hearing that? You don't. You want to? We got to get inside. We've got to.
For those of you who failed your sanity checks, it really does seem like you're actually like not only is there a light that is kind of calling you, but that sound on the wind is getting louder. Um, and the words are almost starting to sound familiar to you. It sounds like they're almost repeating, and you're starting to actually understand what it's saying. Um,
Now, could Emmett try like vocalizing some of that? Like, see if he can't. Granted, I know he's like enthralled by the lighthouse, but if it's like a chant or just any kind of word, could he try and like repeat it back and see if like it makes any sense?
sure, that's an interesting idea.
Don't do these things.
It's
Uh,
so good.
just gonna summon a Shoggoth right here, right now. Let's do this.
um, Oh gosh. I feel like that could partially be honestly, I think I might just have you
Do it, Lonnie.
I'm torn between so
I'm
like
ready. I'm ready. Come on. Just any roll here. I'm ready.
um I just want you to roll a base intelligence roll. I think to like understand it to the point where you can almost repeat it like it is like this like you're joining in on the chant.
Oh,
Okay.
clock
Well,
to Verada.
yeah, it's probably good you failed that.
Most
Gesundheit.
likely.
You try your best.
Thank
You
you.
try your best. I will say the other two of you that failed your sanity probably like look to him thinking maybe he's like, he knows. Um Look at him like a little bit of a different light, I guess. But the lighthouse is still your main priority. And
Mm.
it's getting closer. Um does anyone else want to do anything as you're walking towards it? Or do we want to fast forward to you standing in front of the door?
The mayor is not sure what it means, but some part of his brain is thinking, man, that would be a great, campaign rally, call and response. Uh,
That's
make the Elders
exactly.
great again.
And say
Yeah.
it with me, everyone. Ia, ia, Cthulhu Fatagan.
Um you're making note of that and you're trying to really if you want to roll me a listen or an intelligence just to see if you're not trying to repeat it, just kind of like instill it in your memory, I would say listener intelligence could be good to just kind of be like, yeah, that's nice. Oh no, you've succeeded.
Son of a gun.
Oh.
It's
Oh.
always used. Always
You
you. It's always you.
yeah, it would really I think it would gain you a lot of followers. I really do. Maybe not the followers you wanted, but followers,
No,
loyal.
exactly.
Yeah. Um and you instill it in your memory and you said you're not trying to repeat it, right? But you're just kind of like it's there now. Um
Yeah.
Okay.
so that'll be fun if there was ever a session 2 to just have that randomly kind of be playing in your brain again one day, wake up a sleeper agent. No, so yeah, so you're instilling this in your memory. You have it kind of understood and in your head and ready to repeat to anyone who would listen. And as you're walking towards the lighthouse, you see the front door of the lighthouse, the little building next to the lighthouse open.
Mm.
And is there just for is there a preferred role to try to break out of sanity, or would that be another sanity roll? Just
Like to break the trance?
yeah,
Huh. Maybe it would be power. Because it kind of
okay,
has like a supernatural sort of feel to it, I'd guess.
sure. So um Emmett, I'm gonna have you roll a power roll for me as the person who opens the door and starts to come into your view um looks very familiar to you.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So you are in this trance of the lighthouse, but when you see the door open, there's this initial shock of recognizing the same person from the lighthouse picture that was supposedly taken over 40 years ago.
Oh.
He has not changed a bit, which is why it was such a shock to you because you just saw this picture a few minutes ago with you took it off the wall and everything. You could take the picture out and compare. And
And he probably
he
does.
looks exactly the same.
Oh, man, Tom looks great.
Oh,
Emmett's probably. Oh, continue.
sorry, did you say Tom looks great?
I think that's what I wrote down.
This is Howard, the lighthouse keeper.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Steve's mistake. I mean, the mayor gets the name right.
Absolutely. Yeah. You are very familiar with the lighthouse keeper, but he's very known to keep to himself. So you know him from general look. You don't really know how old he's supposed to be or anything. So you're not really like taken aback by this. You're like, yeah, it's the lighthouse keeper. But Emmett has successfully shaken out of his trance by being caught off guard by this man who has not aged a day in 40 years.
Yeah, so he's probably planting his feet like sort of firmly in the ground, and like as he's coming to, maybe says the man's name, like Howard Shelbourne. Like it's half a question and just half an anchor sort of back to reality. And would he be like in front of the group at this point, or just
Oh,
yeah, I feel.
sorry, go ahead.
No worries. I was gonna say, I feel like he's just kind of like, trying to put his hand up, like just stopping everyone else from going inside. And he probably just asks, like, what is this? What's going on?
Well, it's the migration. Didn't you see the flyers?
What migration? What are you talking about? What's with this
Ah,
lighthouse? He's like rubbing his temple, just racking his brain.
you young ones don't remember. Of course you don't. It's been 40 years. I made such a grand sacrifice to be able to have the town be so prosperous and have the oceans give such good, bountiful harvest for our community. And you don't even remember. Well, uh, I guess I suppose I could jog your memory if that would suffice. And he'll kind of step aside from the door. And behind him is, first of all, Tim. But as Tim stands and moves out of the lighthouse, so does George Poole. And so do a few other fishermen who most of you likely recognize, maybe don't absolutely know their names, but you might know their faces. You've probably seen them around. A bunch of locals who you know to usually be nice and lively and friendly, willing to, wave at you when you're passing by the streets. But now all of them look to be in very different stages of I'm trying to think of the right word here. I suppose they're all starting to look a little bit more like they belong underwater than on land.
Oh, oof.
Um, Tim was kind of a little bit more in the starting phases, but as you can see, George Poole, who's already been missing for a few days, um, looks like he is starting to get the sunken cheeks and a little bit more of the like downturned mouth, the eyes that have very fine pinprick irises, um, some scales kind of patching around his arms. He's not trying to hide it the same way that Tim was. And they all look like you have intruded on something. And they look like they're getting ready to defend Howard, who has done such good things for the community.
Oh.
Question: Do they look like we're all intruding, or do they look like those who are not entranced are intruding?
Oh, I see how it
Thank
is.
you.
Just trying to figure out what the dynamic is.
Yeah, the
Mhm,
non-believers have to
mhm.
be.
So, how about this first? Before we go any further, how about the two others of you who, Larry and Frankie, how about the two of you also roll power rolls for me? Just seeing people that are slowly becoming deep ones. Okay. Holly, if you do you want to commit to that? Okay. All right. You
Come on,
two.
Emmett. Come on, Emmett. I remember when you were a
Oh,
kid, you always did swim like a fish.
I know. I want to play it as
Just-
I want to play it as if Frankie is like unfazed. Like she's like, "Oh, Georgie, I'm glad we found you." Like she's like, "We've been worried about you. I heard you were missing for 2 days." Like she is just so happy. She's thinking it's like a trick of the light. Like she's just old ladying it up. Like you know,
Okay. Well,
Can I
um yes. What?
can I just say,
Mhm.
okay, if that swim like a fish comment was in character, like,
Well, if
I,
fishy was, then I think it was. Yes.
yeah, I feel like Emmett, like, I mean, even if he doesn't lose sanity from that, you can tell like something in him is just kind of breaking here, and he's just like, this is insane. This whole town is insane. Everyone here is crazy, and I'm the only like sane person left. Like he is just, you can see the panic setting in.
Um well, so okay, I
would
guess Howard will look at the two of you that look so eager, especially considering Larry just instilled to memory the chant of oh gosh, I wrote this down. The oh my gosh. Um he just instilled the final ceremony of the Our Father of the Cursed Waves um religious group on the island into your memory.
surely
It
to win
does
next election. God.
um he will kind of seem like he is a little bit more leaning towards um Emmett and Darcy when he is speaking, and I, I
I have a
wasn't okay. This is an
Sorry.
interesting turn of events. Uh
I have a question.
yes.
So, Frankie, she is like early 60s.
Mhm.
Would she recall flyers of the migration prior to?
Uh why don't you go ahead and roll me a history check? Um
I'm spending 7 luck.
cool. Okay.
Oh shit, sorry.
That's okay. Um So you don't remember it being broadcast in the same way,
Okay.
but you do remember from the picture. You do remember hearing stories of Howard Shelbourne finding maybe a capsized boat or something where
Okay.
he brought bodies out of the water. Um, but you also, with the success, will also kind of remember um, some people in town being a little suspicious about uh, how he found them, um, how the boat capsized in the first place. So maybe not migration specifically,
Okay.
um,
But an event.
but it was an event. Yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm enthralled anyways. I'm handing out hard candies. It's fine. telling
Are
everybody.
you handing out hard candies to the people that just stepped out of the lighthouse too?
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
pouring the Kool-Aid
I
at the
am.
secret like
That's the
high
point.
ceremonies. Oh,
Give
I
him the bait.
ugh. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, here's this, at the rookery, she's like going. They are not listening at all, but she is enthralled, but also like she's not enthralled where she's like chanting or learning the chants there, Mayor. But she's she doesn't think anything of it. Like she's just like, "Oh, I've known these people. I've seen these people." Like doesn't register to her that he looks young cuz she's like, you know, when you get older, age is a state of mind.
Mhm.
And so for her, it's a, "Oh, he looks great for his age," Like she's just like just vibing.
Okay. Well, while you're vibing, I hate to say it, but the two of you that look like you are not ready to convert in this very moment, uh, might want to prepare for some deep ones coming at you.
uh,
Uh, what are your deck scores?
um, all right, all right. Not as bad as I thought it was.
Okay.
Does
All right.
Emmett look worried?
And, extremely,
You look a little stressed. Okay.
yeah, extremely stressed. Um, I'll just roll dex now, and what happens?
Hey y'all.
Oh, okay.
Um, okay, so I didn't need you to roll.
Oh,
Sadly, I
Oh,
think it's based on the number for initiative. But
Oh,
that was
okay.
well now you get the
great for
numbers.
both of you to succeed, and now I feel like I need to make sure that there's something that you
No,
can be
no,
Dexy about.
it's totally fine.
But
Um,
what if Darcy like kind of lunged forward a little bit to pull Emmett like backwards and without stumbling to just kind of like get him out of like the immediate like arm range of Howard.
absolutely. You two get kind of ahead of the situation while the evil villain is monologuing, the two of you like successfully are like, "Oh shit. Get out of there."
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to do that. So, yeah, so you both, where are you are you trying to like find cover? Are you just trying to get distance in between the two of you? Or between you two and them?
I feel like discretion's the better part of valor. AK, just Emmett would be trying to run as fast as he could.
What about Frankie? What about Larry? I didn't vote for him,
He-
but come on.
that's awesome.
For the
yeah, it.
bear?
I mean, if Darcy's staying, I feel like he's got that history, you know. She was his babysitter, and for as much of just a piss baby coward as he is, I think he'd stay just to give her some backup.
Okay.
Slowly walking backwards, but like shouting, like, Frankie, Darcy, we gotta go.
I mean, so
Frankie, Larry. Darcy, we gotta go.
That was
just
his opponent's
everybody.
name.
Go.
Before we launch into combat, Larry wants to say something. He's kind of halfway in between the two groups and looking back and forth. Um, and his thing all along has been, essentially, don't close the beaches. Um,
Yes.
so he's looking back and forth. Friends, neighbors, no need to argue. There's no need to fight. We're all islanders here. We can all get along. We always have.
Do you want to go ahead and roll me a persuasion?
Charm?
Charm, absolutely. Oh
Bold
God.
strategy, Cotton.
No.
All right.
That's 17 under 70. He is a
Um,
politician.
you two hear so as you're pulling away, you two do hear the mayor trying to make a very solid argument. He seems very convinced of it. He seems very very heartfelt. But I think I'm gonna give you both a chance with an intelligence roll just to like, especially like Emmett has already like felt it and then like snapped out of it. So I want to give you a chance to not just be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
All right, so intelligence.
Sure. Cool. Okay.
All right. All
Fantastic.
right. I like the way
Um
this is rolling out.
the mayor is a great speaker. He's fantastic. He got elected, you know, he knows what he's doing. But the two of you don't want to join a religious order today. So there's gonna like kind of as he's trying to appease the situation, Tim is gonna kind of start approaching, and so is George, and they both have like fishing spears in their hands as they walk towards you. But luckily both of you have better dexterity than a deep one. So what do the two of you want to do? So Darcy, it looks like you can go first with 75.
They ain't coming with us, are they?
Hey, the mayor, at least, I think, is gone. If he ever had it,
Tell me Frankie's gone too, or else we have to stay.
Mm.
Frankie, Frankie, you look at them. They're crazy. Come on, we gotta go.
Do I register this?
How about we'll start with Emmett rolling a persuasion or a charm to see if he makes a solid point. And then you can try to see if you can roll a power to kind of shake out of it again.
All right.
During that, Darcy's gonna like push Emmett behind her, like as her action, and like pull out her fishing knife. And so like while he's persuading, she's just gonna be like, if they attack, she'll be in front.
Okay. Well, Emmett was successfully persuasive. So, Frankie, do you want to try to see if he's tugging at your heartstrings and convincing you to stay on their side?
Can I roll or can it just happen? Would you like me to roll or can it just happen is what I should be asking.
It's I guess it's something that I want you to kind of shake out of, but he
Okay.
did persuade successfully. So you oh, okay, no, well then yeah.
Hard success.
Yeah, so you hear what he's saying, but you also listen and understand, and it successfully kind of breaks the thought pattern of just what it breaks the thought pattern. You're able to kind of shake loose, and you are now aware of the situation and standing next to the mayor with Deep Ones kind of walking past you towards two of your friends.
she's in too deep. Oh no. Um, she, oh, and she kind of like says it out loud to herself, but she's really saying it very quietly. Like it's a, the kind of like the, oh shit. Like she's like, and she kind of studies them as they walk by and is like,
Just kind of awkwardly slides off to the
She
side,
like
like
yeah,
off
she like
camera.
she like turns and she kind of starts walking not with them, but in the same direction as to blend in.
Okay. So you're leaving Larry and walking. Okay, so yeah, so you're kind of trying to like not let it be
I
seen that you have broken this
yes, we're
illusion and
in
you
the
are
direction.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so you blend in. They're not really looking at your faces because they're focused on the two that are very clearly in opposition to the situation. Um and while this is happening, obviously Howard is um still like still very adamant about like he's not watching you at the moment. He's kind of focusing on his loyal followers kind of moving towards everybody, but he's still kind of monologuing a little bit.
As
Just
I'm walking away though, I don't know that I can do this. This is probably a terrible idea, but the mayor and I are old friends, and I would like to see. I don't want to cause a scene, but I would like to. I would like to maybe grab his hand or the sleeve of his jacket and pull and see if I get any. Like if it's full resistance, she lets go immediately.
okay.
I will roll for
Um
it if you would like me to.
sure. I I don't think I'd have you roll for it because you're kind of just trying to like appease to him by like just like a outward stimuli. But I do want to
Yeah.
see maybe one more power roll from Larry just to hope that, you know, an old friend just even just tugging at your shirt sleeve.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
it's not
Good.
one.
You really just
He
want to be
is
a
in.
follower,
Not
huh?
Steve,
He
it's
is
literally
in.
you. Yeah, every time it's
It was
you,
that
honey.
pun. It was that pun.
It is.
Oh,
You're
I think
muted.
you might be muted.
Oh, 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 oh.
Oh,
Um,
hold on.
Gonna
Hold
go
on.
from mayor to head of the cult in like the span of 2 hours.
Mhm.
Steve, were you muted
Sorry.
by any chance?
Yes, I was. I'm sorry.
What were you
I
saying?
was
I'm
I was
sorry.
just I was just sharing with our audience. That's not just a failure. That's a 99.
99
Yeah.
of just really 99% sold
Mhm.
on staying at this lighthouse. Um, okay. Well,
I let go immediately when the moment that Frankie meets resistance and it feels like there's no give, it's a let go and keep walking. Like it is
Aw.
for a not so spry person, it is very seamless.
okay. Um,
Larry is
well,
still trying the "Can't we all get along" speech. Um, is there any chance he might be able to persuade the persuade the deep ones to let his friends go? Because that's all he's not, you know, he's not siding with his friends. He's just, saying that's not how we do things here. Live and
uh,
let live.
I I'd like to see you try to persuade Howard, because Howard right now is a little bit of the oh my gosh. Okay, yeah,
You're
this
so
is not
Villain point.
charming.
This is
Villain
a
point.
I do it.
very
this is
Do it.
fascinating.
it
You
just
can do it,
twists and
Lonnie.
turns.
It's so fascinating because the thing is I kind of want to hear what you have to say. Like if you're talking to Howard. So Howard is like the one that seems to be very aware of the situation, is the ringleader of the situation. What do you even like what do you try to say to get him to stop his mastermind plan of adding sacrifices um to the mix that he's already accumulated?
Um, I think I try to remind him of when he was the lighthouse keeper. You know, his consuming passion of his life was keeping people safe so they wouldn't crash on the rocks. So saving lives is kind of deep in his soul. I think that's what I'm trying to
Okay.
reach.
Um, he I'm sorry, I don't even want to use the villain point because I kind of just like this is so interesting to me right now. Um, so he will kind of he looks at you kind of surprised when you say that. And funniest thing about your statement is that I don't even know if you realize how wrong it is. 40 years ago, I was the reason why the sacrifices were made to be able to let this town be prosperous and have the fishing culture that it does. I, I care about the people on this island, sure, but at the end of the day, is safety really the concern? Or is prosperity and appeasing everything that's surrounding us in those dark waters, making sure they stay in line? Thing is, at the end of the day, all those people that came to this island, they're doing good for us. Doesn't matter that they're not safe, they're doing good for us.
So let them continue to be to do good for us. Let Frankie continue to bring in the fish. Let Emmett continue to
But they don't
take
believe
care
in our
of
cause.
well, I'm sure there's no one on this island who's in desperate need of psychological help, but keep everyone moving forward together.
That pregnant pause.
Oh.
Oh,
I know
sweet
I'm swimming
dreams.
upstream.
Um, they don't believe in our cause. They heard the song and they didn't believe in our cause. They want to fight us. They want to stop us. What's going to happen to this island if we don't continue to do this? And if they're going to try to stop us and try to take over my following?
Well, it's what I've been doing my entire career, getting people to come along, to change their minds, to join the cause. Saying no on one day is not the end of the whole campaign season to go.
What do
You're welcome to
you
tell me that this is just not working, and I don't mean to derail.
I no, I it's one of those things where it's like, you realize that if you're trying to ask this, you're basically kind of being willing to let this continue to happen. You're basically it's a cult getting a hold of the politics of the town.
Yes, but
Politics is the
that's
art of compromise, baby.
that's tomorrow's problem. You know, you say what you need to say in the campaign today, and dealing with the repercussions. That's the next election.
Cared much for politics.
Hashtag climate change.
Um, he's talking with you, but the deep ones have not been called off, I think. At this point, the deep ones are definitely reaching Darcy and Emmett. Frankie is still in the mix, trying to blend in. Um, so, yeah, right now, I think that there is going to be a roll to attack at Darcy, I believe, is in front of Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I am going to roll a fighting to attack you with a spear as this conversation is happening, because I don't know if Howard is totally convinced. I don't think he's gonna fully just call off his deep ones in a conversation with this. He is still talking, but it's need to find the D100 one second. Oh, they fail anyway. Okay.
Villain point it.
I could.
You
Do
can.
it. I
Do
don't know
it.
what you're waiting on.
Do
I
it.
could.
There's so many.
Oh, but that's a 3 though.
That's okay.
They got so okay. See, they're attacking you with a fighting spear, so they're gonna roll 1d8 damage. They're gonna hit you for 1d8, so it's +1 for a fighting spear. So they hit you for 9 points of damage, Darcy.
Just a little ouch.
As you kind of hear this like yelled kind of persuasive
There's a
back
lot
and
going on
forth
right now.
political argument being yelled over the breeze of the tip of an island.
Yeah,
Was
Frankie's
that
walking. Everett's probably hyperventilating behind her. There's a ton going on, so I don't think she like even fully registered. Like they were threatening, but were they really going to attack? Like these were other sailors that she had like gone to pubs with, like sailed with. So like when was it Poole that was holding one of the spears? Like when he like stabs that at her, like getting her straight in the gut, like she's completely surprised.
Yeah, by the way, how many hit points total do you have?
12.
Okay. So 9 hit points is more than half, so that
Mm-hmm.
would be a major wound.
Mm-hmm.
As you are currently being backstabbed, but in the front, but by somebody who you recognize their face, but right now they don't look like they recognize yours. And I think Tim will also come from kind of out from around and try to see if he can kind of stab around you with his spear to see if he can get at Emmett as well. And that will be a fail. Okay. At first I thought I rolled an 8 and I was like, that's not right. I just rolled an 8. So that will be a fail. He's trying to kind of like reach around to stab, so he's kind of doing a little bit of like stabbing in the dark. So luckily that was unsuccessful. But we can start up the initiative again. So I think that starts us with Darcy. Do you want to retaliate?
Yeah, I think that Wallace, she's spears like in her, she's going to like swing up with her knife, just like a gut reaction.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That was good. Yeah, so go ahead and let me know if you succeed.
Is a fighting roll.
Ooh.
Nah, she's in too much pain.
Okay.
She swings up and like the blade just kind of like slips from her hand because it's slick with blood.
Oh.
Okay. Emmett.
Um, well, given that he just saw Darcy get stabbed I'm guessing like through the gut, right?
Mhm.
Um, with
The mob.
yes, with a massive spear. Uh, it's fight or flight, and I think what he's going to try and do is just grab her like as best as he can with however weak he is and try to like lead her away, from the battle, or at least use himself as a shield to give her a fighting chance.
We dying.
Go
Uh,
ahead and roll strength to successfully kind of maneuver picking up and moving away.
oof.
Okay. Um, do
Why's
you
your
want to use a
strength
hero
so
point for
low?
that, or are you sticking with it?
Everybody
I
dies.
feel like narratively, I gotta at least try to use a hero point on it.
Okay. Okay. You
Alrighty.
you try to lift her up that first time, and I think you kind of like have that initial instinct of like, oh, but also like you've been kind of avoiding, touching gross things and everything like that, and you probably like try to grab her in like an awkward angle just to try to avoid maybe like touching blood or like putting pressure on her like where she got stabbed. But then the second time you really just realize you need to get her away no matter what. So you ignore anything else and you really just pick her up with like all the adrenaline rush and pull her away. And you try to get a little bit more towards kind of like down the road a little bit towards a like kind of like a tree line.
Right on.
All right. Um, let's see. Is it Frankie? Yeah,
Tiptoeing.
so Frankie, you're kind of just in amongst everything.
Oh, see though, she fears that she sees what happens and she's like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Like it literally like is like she can't pretend anymore. What have you done? And she turns around and is like, oh no. And she would try to help Darcy. She was like, no, like, and I don't know. I mean, I would like for narratively to be behind them,
Okay.
but
So
not
you're
Darcy behind the person that stabbed Darcy.
okay. So you want to be behind George Poole
Oh no,
is
Georgie.
what you're
Yeah.
Oh no.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and I would like to like push him because she sees what's happening.
Okay. Um let's see. I'd say that also seems like it would be a strength roll or actually a brawl. So if
Oh
if you're trying to
no.
push to knock him over, that would probably be a brawl.
Okay. I was excited when you said strength. I got excited. I was like, I'm pretty strong for an old lady, so
Uh sadly, I remembered that there is an actual fighting skill. Um,
you said
okay.
sadly.
So you try to push. He's surprisingly like just firmly placed. Um, and just you try to push him. He doesn't really he kind of just does like a little bit of like a move, but not that much, and then just turns around and you have now gained his attention.
Great.
Um, I think you Larry, I think you would still go before the deep ones as well. So do you I I'm trying to be too nice and I know that, but I want to give you another chance to roll a power because now you've seen one of your friends get stabbed during this process. you're negotiating, and it seems like you're talking in like it seems like he's trying to talk you in circles a little bit, and you saw somebody get stabbed and blood and being pulled away from the scene, which is very jarring.
Okay. Power.
Yep. Oh, you really just want to be in there. You just want to be in there so bad.
I
Let him
got a
stay.
feeling like I should.
Make him roll insanity check. Make him stay.
Do I try a hero point at this point? I don't know.
If you want to, if you really think your character like is like, yeah, you know what, we can negotiate this, then like, yeah,
He's so caught
you
up in the
can.
debate.
I just want to briefly apologize if I was too loud there, but that really got me off guard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're
You
being
know, he
captive,
is
Larry.
deeply committed to can't we all just get along? But ultimately, he is a soldier, and he's also a politician, so he knows how to when it's on, it's on.
Mhm.
Whether he recognizes that it's on, we'll find out.
Okay.
Apparently, he
You
does.
know, this guy just openly admitted to sacrificing a bunch of innocent lives. Even if your town has been prosperous and like, you know, all the water gods have been pleasant to you throughout like 30 years of time just because of the sacrifices, he still literally just admitted to being a murderer.
Hmm.
So I think that would be something that would uh, jar somebody who has ex-military, and now you can do whatever you'd like.
Um, yeah. So um, the mayor's going to reach a hand into his jacket. He pulls out his service revolver. This town needs new leadership, and he's going to take a shot at Howard.
Okay, go ahead and roll for me. Okay, 5 damage. All right, let me get his character sheet up. Okay, yeah, that hurt. Can I do math properly? I can. Cool. Yeah, so he looks shocked because this entire time you've been trying to talk about getting along and all this sort of stuff, and now you've shot him, and he kind of reaches to kind of start uh making some motions that you probably aren't too familiar with, but he's trying to start casting a spell. Because now he's mad and he wants to try to pull out the big guns. Which brings me back to his loyal followers, the Deep Ones. So right now, it looks like George Poole has been turned on Frankie, and you just pushed him. So he has a reason to believe that you are no longer one with the cause. So he's gonna try to stab at you.
Hey, Raiders.
Hello, Raiders.
Yo, yo, yo.
Welcome in. We are currently in day 4, I believe, of our Caravan of Cthulhu week. We are trying to raise money for the Children in Palestine's Relief Fund. So feel free to just stay around and enjoy the end of me being too nice at running Call of Cthulhu. Um, or you know, take a look at the donation page if you want. There's a lot of cool raffle items up for that'll be raffled off later in the week. You can also donate villain points and hero points, and also just help a good cause. So you're about to see me do some damage to our dear friend Holly here, because I just rolled a 28 under 45 for a deep one. So they are going to do, I believe it was 1d8 plus 1. Okay, so they are going to hit you for 5 points of damage. He like I said, he kind of turns around. He looks a little shocked for a second. I think it takes him a second to register, like, oh, you are no longer friendly, and then again, unrecognizing, even though he stayed at your inn before, will take a stab at you. The rest of the deep ones are kind of still walking. They're walking towards Frankie, but also some of them are kind of diverting towards where they saw Darcy and Emmett run away. And then Howard is currently in the process of trying to cast a spell.
Sure, that will go well.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. I'm gonna roll this. I'm gonna roll this off screen.
Oh no.
I just want to see. I just want to see.
I don't like that.
So
Do it, Lonnie.
Murder us.
Murder.
I hate to say that earlier there was a Shoggoth mentioned. I don't know if that was something that was
Take it back.
taken
No.
from my notes personally, but
No.
you.
No.
So basically, he in his kind of like big raincoat, he does have a sphere that he, like, in the process of trying to cast a spell, has pulled out and is holding in his hands. And as he has successfully cast a spell, anyone who is looking in the direction of the lighthouse will start to see rising from the water just this gigantic. The best way to describe it is it just looks like a giant blobulous monster. I don't even really know the best way to describe it. But it is slowly kind of working its way out from the water, as all of you are in your various stages of running or fighting. And it's not able to attack just yet, but it is looming. And that brings us back to Darcy.
Running.
Running.
We're running. We're running
Yep.
with yep. Let's she's injured. She doesn't know if Frankie is actually, because all she saw was Frankie walking with them. So
Yep.
and I think over all the noises, I don't even know if she heard the gunshot or like had it register as that as well. So yeah, she is trying to book it off of Craggy Point.
Okay. I'm not going to make you roll for it just because right now you have already put a little bit of distance in between you and the other deep ones that are pursuing. So yeah, I'll let you you kind of start making some greater distance. Emmett, are you going to be following?
Yes.
Okay.
He'll probably be asking if she has a boat because his plan right now is to get as far from the ocean as humanly possible.
Have
Okay.
a boat. I feel like you're like
I
tripping
mean,
and
as far
stumbling.
from the island.
Just like
He's
hold
not
your
going to risk
stomach.
swimming it.
Oh, you're already a piss poor swimmer. We're getting on my boat.
Good idea. When we get to dry land,
Stop talking, run.
just check me into Arkham Asylum, please. Please.
Nope. Let's go.
All right, Frankie, you just got pierced by a spear. What are you doing?
Oh dear.
I'm sorry, Frankie.
She Sure. Let's see here. And it was for 6, right?
Um,
It was.
it
I'm
was
pretty
for
sure of it.
it was for 5.
Okay. Okay.
I rolled a 4 and it's +1.
Okay. So I don't have a ton of hit points, and I'm at 5 now.
Okay.
So, um,
So you take a major wound from that.
she's going to see that her plan, however not thought out, was wildly successful and got Darcy out of there. And she sees little Emmett. He's not little anymore, but she sees Emmett taking off, and she
Don't do it.
it, uh, in her state, she is like, it was a life well lived, is what she thinks, right? Like, she's like, I've done really well for myself. And she says, "Oh, Georgie," she's like, "just got yourself in a real mess, huh?" And she, for all intents and purposes, maintains as much focus from those that are near her. And she's weak, but she like is taking out her curlers. Like, she's like, I will, she's like, I'm not staying like this. And she fixes herself, and she's looking down, and she's bleeding, and she's, well, uh, today's as good as any day. And she says, "No, I love this place like I love you, Georgie." And she's like, and she's going to, if he's only focused on her, she will try to hug him and be like, "It's okay, lad." And I assume this or attempt to attack her again.
Um,
However you see fit.
Sadly, yes. He he kind of like he kind of turns rigid in your arms, kind of shocked by the display of affection. Um, but then realizes that makes the process of stabbing pretty easy when you are willingly standing still and putting yourself very close to him. And again, he's not really recognizing you right now as he does this. I'm gonna have him roll. He succeeds, and I'm assuming you aren't trying to dodge.
Mm.
So that's 7, and +1 is 8. And it's weird because as he kind of feels you like start to fall, he does lower you down gently, at least. Almost like for a second, like in your last few seconds, you are like, do you know? Do you not know? Um, but then he kind of stands back up and turns back towards the Shoggoth that is now looming and kind of looks entranced by its presence. Um, and Frankie is sadly gone. Make me kill my first character. Come on, Holly.
That was probably the most beautiful way you could go in such a nightmarish, just awful, awful situation. God.
Now
Oh
she has
my
a taste
gosh.
for blood.
Well, it's a good thing Sinker's holding down the rookery.
I know,
Oh,
Stinker's in charge, man.
I don't like that.
Well, for the sake of moving on, I should ask what Larry wants to do next, but this is gonna hurt. Okay, Larry, what are you? I don't know. You're probably focusing on Howard, so I don't know if you would really have noticed what happened behind you. Um, but you probably hear a little bit of a flashing sound. What do you want to do?
Uh, if he realizes what's going on behind him, I think he's even more determined to do what he can to end this. Um, he does want the island to be at peace. He doesn't want it to be united, but not this way. So yeah, he's still got his revolver in his hand. Um,
Still aimed at Howard?
yeah, and I think he's not sure if this is the right verb for a service revolver, but he's gonna fan the hammer. He has the option of firing 3 shots in a round, each with a penalty die. So
Okay. Go for it. Oh, okay. That's wow. Okay.
that's a 23 under 70 for the first one,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay.
and 56 versus 70 for the second,
Okay. Okay.
Oh my god.
and a 44 versus 70 for the third. So if he can do
Okay.
one thing effectively, he can aim.
Bam, bam.
Okay. How how do you imagine Howard going down and also the fact that he is holding the sphere that controls the Shoggoth? Um how do you imagine that falling as you shoot him more than enough? You probably have shot him and then when he was already going down dead added another bullet.
I think that last bullet was straight into the orb, hoping to shatter it. Has no idea if that's actually going to be useful, nor do I. But I think that's the
Absolutely.
intent.
Well, shooting the orb successfully, first of all, it almost just like evaporates into fine crystals and just shimmers down after you shoot it, which looks very beautiful. As you know, like it's almost like that slow motion scene of him going down, but there's also that like just explosion of light crystallizing around and everything. Um, the Shoggoth looks like he basically was also shot down in that moment and collapses back into the ocean. And if you were to look over the edge, you would not be able to see any remnants of it. Um, it looks like either it just fell to the bottom of the ocean or who knows. But you see Howard fall away, you see the Shoggoth fall away, and the deep ones all look around, not really understanding what to do now that they don't really have a voice giving them instructions. And I think they just start retreating back into the water for the time being. I think they have fulfilled the transformation of turning into deep ones, and at this point they, they're one with the water. So you have successfully gotten rid of all threats that are still in the area. Is there
And I
anything
run
else
over
you want
to Frankie, and I think as we fade out, the mayor is kneeling down next to her, coming to terms with what just happened. He had a general inkling behind him, but yeah, it's different seeing a friend dead.
Okay. Emmett and Darcy, are you just running for the hills, getting for the boat, not turning around?
I think so. Don't imagine they saw the Shoggoth fall. They maybe heard like a few gunshots just firing into the night, but they can't really tell whose those are, if they're coming after them or what have you. So I think Emmett at least is going to keep pressing till he gets in that boat and sets a course straight for the mainland.
Okay.
Yep. Fight or
Darcy's
flight.
following. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then we close on a scene where 3 out of 4 party members survived, and the one who sadly didn't make it made a very valiant sacrifice to save the people that she cared about. And with that, I guess we can wrap up. Luckily, it seems like Gull Isle will be back to normal fishing schedules starting tomorrow, maybe with a few less fishermen. And anything else anyone wants to add before we do sign-offs?
Lonnie got first blood.
If I can offer one image, the like after the credits, final, Marvel movie kind of, scene is just the mayor walking up to a podium.
Mm,
I like that.
love
That's a
it.
great way to end.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for sticking around. This has been Call of Cthulhu. This has been my first attempt, so I apologize that I was a little afraid to kill a player. But all of these people were so incredible to be able to play with. I hope a lot of you were helping donate to a great cause. I hope some of you really liked what you were seeing and maybe want to join the Cthulhu the Lost Caravan that we're doing a Caravan of Cthulhu thing for right now. And with that, I think I'm going to pass it back to my players to be able to introduce themselves one last time, say who they are, what they're doing next, and sign us off. So I think we'll start in reverse order now, so we can go to Holly.
Hey, I'm Holly. I played little Francis Frankie Willard tonight, and I'm so glad to be Lottie's first kill. I'm not gonna lie. No regrets, no regrets. Yeah. This is my last game. I think for the week. I am pre-recording a Fallout game on Friday, and then I will be around when I can be around because I'm starting school. So yeah, it's the last semester. But yeah, no, I just want to say thank you, Lonnie. Thank you to my player peers. It was great. I had a great time. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Holly. Next up, we have Steve.
I'm Steve. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. Um, um, It is so weird to say that a Call of Cthulhu ending was beautiful, but I think it was. Um, you can catch me tomorrow night on Roll D5 playing Necromancer Flower Shop. Uh, because if you bring the flowers back from the dead, then they will never wilt. And next Tuesday, I'm over on Nerds with Dice, playing Skies of Fortune, um, Sky Pirates, basically. Thank you for joining
Sounds
us.
awesome. And thank you for I haven't had a chance to play with you yet, so thank you for it was great to finally get to I guess lead you, but play alongside you. So thanks for joining. Next up we have Miles.
Well, hi. First time appearing here on Lost Caravan. I thought this was amazing. I love the dynamic we kind of naturally developed while we were playing. I honestly, I was loving every second of this. I was totally enthralled. I've been working for a long time on a kind of open world Vampire the Masquerade campaign. Hopefully nearing completion on that. But yeah, you can find me on Discord as Psych. And I just want to say one last time, thanks to everyone who donated. Um, this is a really good cause. I've been made aware of the plight going on in Gaza. Some of the pictures coming out of there have been really horrifying. So just being able to do anything to help the people there, even donating a little bit, means a whole lot. So thank you sincerely.
And also great to play with you as well, especially if this is your first time on the Caravan. You did fantastic. Your character was so intricate. It was so interesting. There were some times where I was just like, I took psychology classes in college. I was like, you're bringing that up in a stream right now. Interesting, but it was in a great way because it was very committed to character. So it was great to play with you, and I'm glad you enjoyed. And yeah, absolutely, everyone. Thank you again for donating. Again, we're raising money for Palestine Children's Relief Fund, so that's still going to be going on for the rest of the week. It's a great cause, and there's a bunch of cool people trying to help raise money for it in the process. And then finally, we have Sam, if you want to sign us off.
Yep. Hey guys, I'm Sam, Sammy Scribbles on the interwebs or Indie Scribbles. If you check out my website, I do reviews of indie TTRPG games. I have a couple in the works, but life gets to you and everything. Tonight I played Darcy Arahill. She was a local fisher and was not about to turn into the fish that she catches every day. This was a completely fantastic game. I absolutely loved every minute of it, and thank you, Emmett, for dealing with the banter. I'm always glad when I'm like, I'm not actually insulting you, I'm sorry. But it was so much fun, and also I just want to say thank you to everyone that has donated, and even if you're not able to contribute financially, just sharing it on the socials is just a good way to like get the word out there to like somebody who might be able to help, or just promoting a good cause. But yeah, you can catch me back here tomorrow playing Lex Arcana with Turk, and then on Friday I'm going to be in the GM seat running some Call of Cthulhu based in the Arctic region and the quest for the Northern Passage. So I'm going to deal with some horror in the ice. But yeah, that's me, and thank you, Lonnie. This was an amazing game, and I thought you had run a couple Call of Cthulhu games, so this is great.
Thank you. Yeah, I honestly, all of your banter it made it so easy. It was like one of those things where I gave you like a little bit to work off of, and then all of you just like had conversations, and I was like, you go ahead, this is great. I was basically just watching you guys the entire time, so I am very grateful for all of you as players. And again for for being patient with me. But also it really warms my heart when people just are having a good time. So I hope everyone who is watching had a good time. I hope everyone has a fantastic night. This was the only thing that I am doing for Caravan of Cthulhu this week, so look out for me in the future. But in the meantime, make sure that you are supporting everyone else here you see on your screens. And if you liked the witty banter, liked the dynamic of the group, also feel free, if you aren't already in our Discord, to join our Discord and be able to play in games with these cool people. And I think with that, we are going to officially sign off. Although I don't know if we're going to be doing a raid, so stay and chat for a few extra seconds just in case. But either way, I think we are going to say goodbye, good night, and hope that none of your friends turn into fish people. Right? Yeah. Good
Yes.
night, Oh,
Good
we are
night.
going to be rating Legacy of Fools, so stick around for
Ooh.
that. All right, good night, everyone.